Welcome to the virtual Eiffel Mountains here for week number 8 of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me, as always, is Arjuna Kankapati. And, well, Arjuna, the Nurburgring, it's a place that pretty much every petrol head loves.
It doesn't really need too much introduction at the end of the day. Let's be real, there's only two real venues that you can compare to the Nurburgring Nordschleife, the likes of Pikes Peak and the Isle of Man, neither of which are permanent racetracks, although this is also a public road. It's going to be very fascinating to see how these drivers get on around 170 corners as we unleash the RSR for the second time this season.
Yep, these All-Stars getting themselves in the RSR once again. We'll be seeing it next time out at Le Mans as well. We've got a couple of guest drivers have joined us as well. Of course, Porsche factory drivers Heuer Gouvan and, of course, Bastien Bus, joined by another real-world driver, and that's Jimmy Broadbent. He's going to be joining us here for this round. But here is the grid for you right now. There's Heuer Gouvan and Casey Kerwin on the front row, Pablo Lopez, Bastien Bus, row number 2, Stradi, Kenny 500, row number 3. Fourth row of Basic, Ollie and Emery with Borjazazo and Jardier, Matt Malone and Love 46 rounding out row number 5, number 6 even. Dan Suzuki, Heike 360, Dave Cam, Quirk, Jimmy Broadbent and Tony Kanaan all at the back of the grid. Well, we're getting ourselves set for this first race of the evening then. The All-Stars have 2 3-lap races to go here around the Nordschleife. I tell you what, this is certainly going to be a challenge for those drivers out there, Arjuna.
And again, it's a standing start with these RSR machines, not really known for it. Now, they do have dual clutches in the real world, but that was more just to get them away from pit lane up to the speed limit on the pit limiter. Let's see how they'll go with a standing start with 3 laps on the board.
Well, here we are then. The revs are raised. Green flag will be in the air and we're underway then for 3 laps of this magnificent venue. Good start for Casey Kerwin off the front of the grid and in towards turn number 1 then. You can see this section, it's a chicane. You don't go around the full arena, through the chicane like you do on the 24 hours. And 3 wide further back in your field as you go plunging down this Grand Prix section now through the left-hander. And it's Kerwin and Gouvan at the front of the field. Pablo Lopez got Bastien Bus there with him. Stradi, Kenny 500 in 5th and 6th places. As the rest of them going through. Got a driver dropping down the order a little bit. Oh, Jimmy Broadbent's way back, and there was Love 46 as well. As that
very fun since joining us in the Cayman. But Heuer Gouvan as well, who is someone that, Paul, is not just, fast in the real world, but has worked with the Coanda and Porsche Coanda eSports team in the virtual world as well, and is going to be hungry to fight at the front.
Of course, former racer in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, even a race winner in that championship. So he knows what it takes to win at the highest level here in the virtual world. And now they head on to the Nordschleife for the first time. Drivers just trying to get themselves into the rhythm. But with it only being 3 laps here, you don't really get many opportunities to make any moves forward. Here's Quirk looking at right now, working his way through. And this is a tricky section because you've got so many high curbs through here, Arjuna. It's only 1 or 2 that you can actually take through this part.
And that's where the Nordschleife specialist will be able to really understand. Look at Quirk. He knows you can use that inside curve where a few of the other drivers have been a bit more avoidful of them, even using that inside curve there. There are drivers, especially here on iRacing, that do nothing but visit the Nordschleife. They'll jump from official series to official series. Doesn't matter what car, they just want to run their way around this track. And that's why you've got drivers that have done thousands and thousands of laps. When I used to drive, I looked at my VRS data. I did about 1,500 laps. As we'll talk a little bit with Quirk, Paul.
Yeah, we certainly will. Quirk, I mean, it's a busy opening to the lap here. How are you finding things out there?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but I'm just gonna assume you're asking me how things are going. It's going pretty good. I mean, I'm still alive with this group of guys here, so
Yeah, that RSR is loud, but certainly you've got yourself some tricky competition here. Heike 360 seems to be doing well in front of you. You've got Matt Malone behind. I mean, Matt surely will be out for revenge after last week.
Yeah, well, Matt won last week on Heat 2, and I just touched Heike in the back there, and his car's a little beat up now, so maybe he'll be slower on the straight and I can get by. That's a strategy.
It's a legitimate strategy, much like camping, but anyway, but this is one of the trickiest spots around the track here, and well, when you're in close battle, you've also got a certain Mr. Matt Malone behind you as well, who has got the focus on right now, with the Go Faster mustache as well.
That's right, here we are. I'm trying to keep up with Quirk.
Go away, Matt.
Oh, you're in here too now? Oh, great.
Go away.
Dude, the draft is going to be super strong. We're hitting the limiter, which is great. It should keep us all really close, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to keep up with you guys so we get to some straightaway action here. I noticed, Quirk, that you touched Hecky 360 there. Why, no touchy.
Listen, he parked it.
It is his fault. He's going too slow.
Well, this is your big opportunity now, Matt. Come on, get the run out of this this right-hander at Bergberger. You've got a nice, long run up the hill now.
Yeah, look at this.
I think something's going to happen real soon here.
Something bad's going to happen.
Something bad's going to happen. Here we go.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we've got Jardier and Dan Suzuki going side by side. Dan's into the grass. Take a deep breath there.
Ah!
I'll push you, Quirk. I'm going to play it safe. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, and around.
No.
That's three of our drivers.
Better luck next time. Why'd you cause that wreck, Quirk?
I got too ambitious there.
Matt, why did you bump Quirk into that? That's all your fault. You intimidated him there.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. They call me an intimidator. You see the mustache? That's what it's all about. I gotta get an advantage any way I can.
We'll leave you guys to it and lick your wounds.
Thank you.
So, yeah, the guys up at the front, well, they're keeping it nice and clean. Guven has got past Casey Kerwin now, and he's moving away. It's not very often that you get to talk to drivers whilst they're mid-crash.
No, absolutely not. But you can see they're all having a lot of fun. And let's be honest, Paul, I don't think we've ever had more fun in the history of the All-Stars than we had last time out at Spa, when we just let Casey, Quirk, and Matt commentate us to the finish of the race. It was fantastic.
Oh, we had the easiest job in the world that day. It was fantastic. Just to let people know, Guven Kerwin ahead of Boos, who's got ahead of Pablo Lopez. Straddy and Kenny 500 still together, so they managed to survive that issue with Matt Malone and Quirk. I think Malone's struggling with a bit of damage out there. He's dropping down the order. Emery and Borjazazo, they've moved up into 7th and 8th for Heike 360, now down in 9th. Dan Suzuki 10th ahead of Matt Malone. Dave Cam and Jimmy Broadbent, they're pretty close together out there as well, down in 11th, 12th and 13th. So it's a long old track, and this is what you can have happen around here, Arjuna, isn't it? The field really can sprint. Oh, there's Matt. He's decided to park it. He's in the pits there. But this track, it can really string people out. And if you don't keep the draft, like Casey's desperately trying to do now, then you can lose touch.
Thing that people often forget is, yes, there's 170 corners at the Nordschleife, but in between those corners is often not inconsiderable straights. And so if you struggle on corner exit, you need to be able to be in that draft to be able to close up on those cars behind. Look at this, the Pulpo Lopez through the Dottinger Hoe, which is a 2-kilometer straight out of Galgenkopf into Tiergarten. He used the draft, but waited until the very end of the straight, because if you tuck out too early, the car that you're trying to overtake will get the draft on you. And Pulpo Lopez slides on through up the hill into the final corner, getting past Bastian Boos.
Yeah, that was nicely done there from Pablo Lopez. And Arjuna, you've got our race leader
Yeah, let's talk to former eSports Supercup driver Iron Chen Guven. Iron Chen, great to have you back as an all-star. How are you feeling up at the front with Casey behind you in second?
Yeah, I'm enjoying a lot driving RSR and Nurburgring, so yeah, so far so good, but as you can see, I already missed the corner when I start talking, so yeah, it's a part of the challenge, I guess.
What's the comparison between this car and the GT3R that you're getting to race in the real world? Because we love this car for the sound. What's it like to drive in the sim?
Yeah, to be honest, I think for most of us, this car is the legendary, without ABS, with a crazy sound. So I would say it's also one of my favorite car. And driving around Nurburgring, it's not easiest because I think it's not designed for this track. In carousel, you can feel that it's bottoming out a lot. So normally with GT3 car, I think we are faster into carousel corners where we have some bumps. But for sure, when it's not bottoming out, then it's much faster around Nurburgring.
We've got Casey behind you as well. So Casey, you're chasing down a real-world driver here at the Nordschleife. How are you feeling in this RSR?
Pretty good. I mean, I normally struggle a lot here, mainly just because I don't know the place, but over the past couple weeks there's been some series that have gone here. And I actually know where I'm going now, which is good. I'm doing my best to try and keep up here, but oh, I'm about to wreck now. Hold on, I got it. We're good. But he's pretty sporty. I don't know if we're gonna keep up, but I can still see him. That's a good feat, I think.
eNASCAR had its European adventure to Monza. How about next year we bring them over here?
We've been joking about that all week, and I am all for it now, especially because I know probably 90% of the people don't know this place, and now I do, so that'll give me an advantage, so let's do it.
Let's do it. I mean, Iron Chen, what's the craziest thing that you can imagine racing around here in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, already driving this in the sim is crazy enough, so I think if we can drive this car in the real life, in Nurburgring, I think it's crazy enough.
I was going to ask you, though, about the 919 Evo, the legendary Porsche prototype where we took the restrictions off that legendary era of LMP1. Surely you must think about what that would be like for a driver.
Yeah, hats off. Currently my team boss is Timo Bernhard, the driver of 919 around Nurburgring, and yeah, I hear from him that it's limited by the engineers that how much he can push, because I think as a driver you can feel around Nurburgring what's the limit of 919 hybrid. So probably it's craziest things I think you can do in motorsport, driving Nurburgring, and the LMP1 hybrid. I think it's the ultimate.
We're going to keep disturbing you guys. You haven't crashed just yet. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am, because normally I'm not comfortable when I speak English and driving, so it's even more difficult for me at the moment.
Casey, how much do you talk on the radio when you're in eNASCAR? How much are you just listening to the spotter, and how much are you ranting about your other drivers?
It depends on the mood I'm in, you know. We try and keep it light, though. If I'm a little too serious, then I'm probably pretty mad. If it's going well, then I'm normally talking a good bit, trying to have fun still. But yeah, we try to. Obviously, it's still serious, but you know, lighten up a little bit helps out in the intense moments.
We interrupted you for about a third of the Nordschleife. You still got to survive about a lap after this, but thanks for indulging us, guys, and good luck for the rest of this race.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love their willingness, Paul, to keep talking with us. And for Iron Chen, that's a fair point. English is not his first language. Full credit to him for keeping it on the black stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, having to translate in your head what you wanted to say whilst racing around here. Whenever I've done events around here, like I did the Nurburgring, virtual Nurburgring 24 hours here a few years ago. I don't want to brag or anything, but I finished third in class in top split, just saying, back in 2017. But yeah, to be able to concentrate, you have to concentrate so much around this track. And it's only down the straights, or I'd say out of here through Bergwerk and up the hill, where you can really sort of just relax, just let your brain relax, and just let you, because if you concentrate too long, Arjuna, then you can mentally fatigue yourself.
This is one of those rare tracks where, unfortunately, and we're going to the Circuit de la South next week, right? Next round. that's a track where you get the long straights and you can easily do 3-4 hours at a time without being too mentally stressed. Here, just doing an hour stresses you out, as there's a side-by-side move up through Mutkurve, which is translated into bravery. It's a brave place to get a pass done. Kenny 500 does that on Stradi. To your point, though, iRacing 24 Hours of the Nurburgring coming up next weekend, Paul. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking right now we should give ourselves a little bit of buzz, full throttle. Well, normally we'd say that was your Buzz full throttle lap, but I don't think you... Well, actually, some people would prefer to have a full throttle lap around here and not have to listen to me talk. But anyway, at the front it is still Ayça Gurvan by almost 3.5 seconds now ahead of Casey Cohen. Bastian Bus and Pablo Lopez have been stuck together all the way through this race. Meanwhile, look at Heike 360. This is the other battle that's close. With Borja Zaza, they're going to go too wide into Tiergarten, Arjuna.
You got to be so careful battling side by side up through into the braking zone, where you finally see that wall end stamp onto the brakes and slow the car down. Seen so much drama over the years, both in the real and the virtual worlds here. It goes to show that you can battle around the Nordschleife. It's not all about the corners. One thing that we were talking about just before that full throttle lap, iRacing Nurburgring 24 Hours, traffic management is such a big part of racing here, especially in the real world, when in the 24-hour race that they have here in a few weeks' time, they'll have 150 plus cars running around the track.
Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that is to manage, especially when you have one car which is an absolute favourite that's a bit slower than, well, I say a bit slower, considerably slower than everything else. But this is looking back now on the Dottinger Heuer, because Love 46 is currently side by side with basically, careful now, give each other space, and they do. But this really, because it's a full inverted grid here, Arjuna, as many people don't seem to remember, they're getting themselves they're fighting well, it's second row of the grid for them next race.
But every racing driver wants to finish in front of the person they're battling with, so I have no doubt that even though technically they should want to finish behind, they'll be trying to get bragging rights. This is that awkward chicane that you mentioned effectively through turn one, and Basic Ollie overcooks it, and as much as Love 46 tried to cut back and do the switchback there, the way the corner funnels out, Basic Ollie can just park it on the apex and hold on there. And once again, we saw the bumper car played. I think Quirk tried to play it off as a joke, his contact with Heike 360, but we talked about the big old diffuser that's at the back of these cars that generate so much downforce. I do wonder what impact that has on the car's handling.
Well, it doesn't seem to be affecting Heike 360 really, because he's in and around where he was in that incident, has been racing away with Porsche Zaza. Meanwhile, this is the race for third place. A podium spot is on the line here. Bastian Bus and Pablo Lopez, the two of them, as they go through the right-hander into Flugplatz, up over the rise there. Such a fast section of this track heading towards Schwarzenkrantz. And then Arenberg. Now, Arenberg is such a difficult corner to get right because it's downhill braking into there.
In these cars as well, with the downforce that you have, Schwarzenkrantz before it is basically flat out, if maybe just a slight lift of the throttle. So you enter with so much more speed as well. And so that makes it a very difficult spot to be able to get it through. And then you get onto the power, you run your way down through the foxhole. As Paul will have a chat with Tony Kanaan.
TK, how are you finding things out there on track? It's a real challenge, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so lost, man. I've never really driven this track. I have no time at all. This is the month of May, the month of the Indy 500, and I mean, I couldn't miss this race, but yeah, I'm struggling. 17 seconds off the pace, so I'm just here to entertain you guys and have Quirk make fun of me for the rest of the week that I was running that last, but at this point, I'm beating him right now.
Well, the positive news for you is, of course, with a full inverted grid, you start on the third row of the grid for the second race.
I don't think this is a good thing because I'm going to hold everybody out, so we'll see. I mean, stay tuned, guys. The second race is going to be much better.
But how are you doing though? It is a busy month for you. You must be so just working hard on getting prepared for the month with this month of May.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very emotional month. I don't know if you guys know this, but I decided to retire after this race. So it's been, you know, a little bit of mixed feelings. I mean, I've had a great career. I can't complain. I know it's just it's going to be hard to say goodbye. I mean, I'm still going to be involved with McLaren on the technical side, but on the driving side, I decided this will be my last one. So try to concentrate and, you know, maybe drop the mic with a win here and see what's going to happen. But yeah, it's been, you know, we're starting the month. Today is actually the kickoff party for the Indy 500. I'm going there right after this, and then after that it's going to be back to business, trying to focus on getting the car ready. The practice starts on May 16th, and then we'll go from there.
Well, have fun for the rest of the month of May and have fun for the rest of today. Thank you, TK.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
So good to hear from Tony, and yeah, I can't imagine having very little time to practice for a track like this when you've barely driven it. It's quite daunting to then take part in a race in such a public forum.
Absolutely. There are ring taxi drivers that just specialize at this track and this track alone, and it's such an interesting experience that I think we have when we come here across the board in the different series, because stringing together a lap here is so difficult. You've got to put together 170 different corners and everything that connects them between as well. Somehow, Bastian Bus and the Popo Lopez have kept each other relatively close, and we've already talked about how the draft is significant down that Dottinger Heuer. I don't think we really expect that when we get to the Super Cup, we want to be, anyone is going to want to lead when they get towards that final corner. I wonder, though, in this car, how much that draft is going to slingshot the Popo Lopez on through. It did seem like he got alongside quite late on the straight.
Yeah, he certainly did, and you can tell that Bastian is trying everything that he can to try and shake Pablo through this section, because if you can gap him out through the twisty stuff, especially heading through sort of Flansgarten and the Beloff S as well, you know, if you can get any gap at all, then going on to the Dottinger Heuer, that is crucial around this track, just to give yourself any hope of holding on to that podium place.
There's one of those jumps at Flansgarten 1. One thing that Paul, you and I were discussing before we went live is plenty of corner names here, but they often describe sections of corners. So we're coming into the Stefan Beloff S's, for an example. it just makes it a little bit easier when you're talking about such a long track. Drivers trying to say the car's not balanced so well here. Makes it a little bit easier to pick things apart. It's a lot better than the relatively obscure corner numbers that sometimes we complain about.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gives a bit of history to the circuit as well, having those corner names. It just puts it all together. Dan Suzuki and Dave Cam are together. That's 10th and 11th place, so they're going to be close going down the Dossier at the end of this lap as well, as they're going to the Kleiner Carousel for the final time in this opening race of the day. Pablo Lopez has jumped Bastian Buss early on in the Dottinger Hut. There you see them on screen right now, and the problem is if you do it too early, that leaves you open to attack again, Arjuna.
Yeah, and the straight actually rises up as you head in towards Tiergarten, and now the Pulpo Lopez has been swamped by that drop.
Oh!
He's going to get shoved off into the grass, and we'll have to bring it back under control.
Well, one driver who is in control is Ayashan Guvan at the front of the field. He takes the win here in the opening race of the All-Stars. Casey Kerwin's going to come across in second place. Bastian Buss then will take third place. This race, though, Dan Suzuki, Dave Cam is going all the way down to the end of the lap here. Through Tiergarten at the end of the lap now, onto the brakes, through the right, then the left, try and get the good run out of it. That's what Dave Cam's trying to do, but Dan Suzuki's going to have the edge up for him as they cross the line together out there on track. Jimmy Broadbent's not that far behind. He finishes in 12th place. Well, it wasn't the absolute white-knuckle thrill ride every second, but my goodness, there was some close action through that race, and Bastian Buss and Pablo Lopez, a little bit too close for comfort at the end.
It can happen. No harm, no foul. At the end of the day, I think Bastian was already in front, likely was going to hold on to that position. And let's be honest, Paul, we head to the Circuit de la Sarthe, we head to Monza after this. Those are going to be white-knuckle rides. It's fun to have a little bit of a technical challenge to throw in there, and one that you said as well, plenty of history around this track as well.
History for me as well. I wiped out a teammate in Tiergarten on the last lap of a race once before, so tried to go around the outside myself into Tiergarten, and yes, it was a little bit of a silly move from me. But the last couple of drivers are out on track. In fact, Matt Malone is going to be the last driver out on track, running around with his damaged car, and that's after having been on pit road as well for Matt, so he's not had a fun race out there after the shenanigans that happened with him and Quirk on the opening lap.
No, absolutely not. In comparison, though, Jimmy Broadbent, who was involved through the GP section with contact on the opening lap, had a quite uneventful first race. He'll be in 12th position at the end of this one, which will invert him to start in, I think it's 6th or 7th spot. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jimmer will get on from towards the front, because, of course, while Matt Malone and Quirk, I think, might have some speed at the Nordschleife, but the question is behind, there may be some bottlenecks, including Tony Kanaan.
Yeah, so we'll see how they get on through this one. As, well, Matt Malone heading down the Dottinger Heuer, giving ourselves a nice little bit of action. You can hear the car just going up that rise. It loses. You can hear those revs drop a little bit. He's got time to stroke the old mustache as well. You can almost get a newspaper out and read it in and down that straight into Tiergarten at the end of the lap. And Matt is finally going to take it across the line. He'll be the last of our runners. Nail, he goes and throws it at the scenery at the end of the lap. But there you go. Matt Malone comes across the line. A lonely 17th place. One driver did not finish, and that was Quirk. And while it is Ayashan Guvan from Casey Kerwin, Bastian Buss, Pablo Lopez ahead of Kenny 500 Stradi, Emery, Hike 360 Bojazzo, and Dan Suzuki. So that's your top 10 from that sprint race. Rest of them, Dave Cam, Jimmy Broadbent, Casey, Tony Kanaan, Pacey Colley, Will 46, Jadier, Matt Malone, and Quirk. So that is your 80 car field, and what that means is it inverts the field for the grid for this one. So it's going to be Quirk and Matt Malone on the front row, with Jardier and Love 46. Basic Ollie and Tony Kanaan on row number 3. Row 4, Jimmy Broadbent, Dave Cam, Dan Suzuki, Boljazazo, Heike 360 and Emery. Then Straddy, Kenny 500, Pablo Lopez, Bastian Bus, Casey Kerwin, and Ayachan Guvan, your race 1 winner, starting from the back of the grid. What can he do, along with Casey, running through this field, Arjuna, very quickly?
It's going to be tough. There are going to be some bottlenecks, and ultimately, passing opportunities at a premium once you get into the heart of the lap at the Nordschleife. So that first sector on the GP lap, going to be so important to get things going.
Well, starting on row number 4 is Jimmy Broadbent, along with Jardier as well on row number 2. The light.
Watch it start. Here it comes. Oh, rubbish! Why did I say that? No!
Well, it's not a good start from Jimmy. He's getting absolutely swamped down towards turn 1. That's 2 places lost already, Jimmy. Come on, you can salvage some of this, can't you?
That's all right. I'm going to get Ollie here. Watch this. Oh. No, I lost touch, everyone. Okay, don't watch it, guys. Watch somebody else.
What? Well, I can tell you now, we can't speak to Jardier at the moment, Jimmy, because he's gone and muted himself on our communication. So
He's taking it too seriously, these guys, you know? Like, it's all about the fun.
yeah, absolutely, and that's what the All-Star. Well, I mean, you saw what happened at Spa, didn't you, with that last lap when we had the 3 of them?
That
in
was
the commentary.
glorious.
That was fun.
I was quite lonely in the last race. I'm hoping for a bit of fun now.
Well, you're in the thick of it, 9th place, so that's not ideal.
Oh, I can't know it. No, slow down. Ah! Ah! Oh, no! Oh, no! Yep. Yeah, so yeah, I'm in 9th place, as you were saying. Really good show. Oh, it's still going on.
Oh, there's all sorts happening. Dave Cam, that's Love 46 as well. They're off. There you go. That's 2 places getting back there, Jimmy. Yeah, that's positive.
That's skill. That is. You can't teach that.
I'll tell you what. The last time we heard noises from a driver like that was Quirk in the All-Stars a couple of rounds ago. So you're not alone in that with the noises. Well, we have got Emery here as well. I mean, I really feel bad for interrupting you when it's so early in the morning.
Oh.
It's okay. I'm just trying to avoid all the death happening.
Well, you are in here with Jimmy as well, so I mean, you know, it's 10th and 13th right now. You guys can both move forward in this field, surely.
I'm happy to hear you're still going, Jimmy. Last I saw you were 90 degrees to the racing surface.
I was just taking a look at the barriers. You got to make sure they're in good condition for the race at the end of the day. It's all about safety.
Okay.
So, that's good.
Well, this is the high-speed stuff now. You can really use the draft of these cars. How good is the draft of these cars, Emery?
Pretty strong, it seems. Like, once you get into 6th gear, it's like you engage turbo mode in the draft, and you can just go, like, pew, past everybody. I got Casey behind me, so I'm a bit scared at the moment. We'll see how it goes.
We need an exciting championship to block him.
Okay, sure.
He's been doing too good, but Jimmy, come on, you can use the power of the draft. The draft compels you.
Okay, yeah. All right, yes, I'm just having a little moment to myself there.
You just sort of clean around the outside.
I'm in control of my car.
But how is this compared to, you know, racing in the real world? I know you've not raced around the Nordschleife, have you? So I know that was originally the plan.
Mate, one of the pro drivers. Dude, you do this for a living. What are you doing, mate? Well, there you go. Well, that was my very eventful half a lap of the Nurburgring. Hope you had fun, guys.
Oh, Jimmy, you keep going, but we'll leave you guys.
Don't you worry.
We'll leave you guys to it. Thanks so much for joining us here, though, today. Yeah, I think we disturbed them enough, Arjuna.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of Jimmy as an all-star this season. He's been busy off doing real-world motorsport stuff. Team 87 as well, trying to get sim racers their chance off in the real world. But look at this choo-choo train that's just built up. Quirk, Yardier starting to break away, and then you've got Borjazazo, the Popo Lopez, Basic Ollie, Casey Cohen, all just stacked up as we head down to the slowest part of the Nordschleife here at Wursifen. You can see a couple of cars checking up. Fortunately, we get through that safely. Jimmy Broadbent, though, like he mentioned, was slightly hit by one of our pro drivers here today.
Yeah, also, I think I saw either Guvan or I think it was Guvan on the grass going into that section at Versailles. So, yeah, not an ideal approach into that corner at one of the slowest parts of the track. But you're absolutely right. Quirk is trying to break away. Jardier, Matt Malone together. Tony Kanan's up there in 4th place. Not bad for somebody who's only done a few laps. Here's Guvan down the inside at Bergwerk. Well, is that going to compromise his run up the hill, though? That's the question. They've got cars on the grass again. I think that's Stradi. No, not Stradi. It's Bolgezazo. Oh, they got cars all over the place up here.
Bergwerk might actually be one of the most important corners on the track because it's an uphill run. You carry that momentum even out through bravery. Look at Casey Kerwin trying to be uber brave and look to the inside of Borgezazo. They will try and single file it out, but Ian Chan Guven, a little too aggressive, sets off the cork in the bottle. Basic Ollie pays the price. Guven's back to 14th spot, and unfortunately, it's not going to be double victory for Guven. He's heading back to pit lane.
Yeah. Taking the truck back to pit road, but for the race for 2nd place is carrying on. Jardier is still ahead of Matt Malone. Matt Malone, of course, severely damaged the last runner in the first race. Well, he's in 3rd place right now, although he has dropped back a little bit off of Jardier. Meanwhile, Pablo Lopez is on a charge through the field. 7 places gained. Casey Kerwin, by the way, 6th place. That's 11 places gained in this race so far.
Only 10 seconds off the back of Quirk. I've seen Quirk run his fair share of Nordschleife races across a multitude of different cars. He's not slow around here, and with just a 3-lap race, does Casey Kerwin have enough speed to be able to close that gap? Still having to work past Tony Kanaan, Dan Suzuki, Matt Malone, and Jardier, all before he'll get up to Quirk. That's all with the provision, though, that Quirk doesn't make a mistake at the front of the field, which is a very real possibility at a track as tricky as this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One little mistake and this track bites. It is a proper old-school track, is this. There we go, up over the jump then. That's at Flansgarten. Flansgarten 1, should we say. Up over the rise. And there's different thoughts and methods of going over there. Some drivers like to just dab the brake before the jump, go over and then hit the brake again to be able to take the corner. Some like to just launch over that jump and then hit the brakes as soon as they land.
I'm of the dab the brake, down a gear, and then try and attack as soon as you have actually landed. I'm not sure if everyone's agreed on that approach. One thing to note is that in the real world, you're required to run minimum ride heights on your cars to try and avoid damage. And now the Pulpo Lopez past Borgezazo finally relieves himself of some of that pressure. Tony Kanaan got so spooked by Casey Kerwin through the 2nd carousel, he said see ya and let Casey Kerwin go up into that top 5. We expected this reverse grid race to be a little bit more chaotic. It's playing out in that way.
Certainly is, and well, as you said, as we go on to the Dottinger Heuer for the first time in this race, Quirk leading by 3.1 seconds over Jardier. Matt Malone ahead of Dan Suzuki, and then it's Casey Kerwin up to 5th now. TK, Tony Kanaan, racing with Pablo Lopez, and Lopez is going to go past on the Dottinger Heuer and head towards the end of the lap at Tiergarten. So these drivers ducking in, using the draft, too wide behind as well. Stradi is trying to move forward. Bastian Boos as well, trying to move forward in this field. And Bastian going too wide into Tiergarten. In the background, a shot there. And the good news is that they all managed to get through there.
At least for the time being. And now, of course, on to the 2nd of 3 laps. These laps go on for a while. You mentioned this earlier, Paul. This is a track which really tests your mental, not strength, but fortitude in being able to focus in corner after corner, picking out which is the next corner, because especially in that final sector of the Nordschleife, it all flows together. And so ideally you'd have a rally crow driver sitting there next to you and telling you what's coming up next. That's not always possible, though. This GP section a lot more familiar, and it's where we tend to see most of the fighting. It's where Borgezazo and Stradi and those similarly liveried machines are going to go side by side, with Heike 360 lurking behind.
Yeah, they're duking it out, and Heike 360 taking advantage of that one then. So Stradi losing 2 places in one move. Now got Emery behind. Emery has got the move down the inside from Kenny 500. Oh, a little bit of a rub as well. swap of paint, and they do end up surviving out of that one through the Schumacher S, through that fast left and right chicane. Dave Cam is behind Emery there. So as we move on through the Grand Prix layout, here we have a look back at what happened.
So we're going to take a look at how Guven got aggressive. In front of him, they were already on the grass before that. You'll just notice, though, as they battle up the hill, they're all checking up momentum. These corners look like they're flat out, but when you're side by side, you feel the need to lift just because you don't want to push up into anyone alongside. They continue to check up, and Guven makes the mistake, in hindsight, of going to the outside where he gets chock-a-blocked up with a couple of machines. Contact was made. Inevitably, he was going off into the grass, into the wall. I think basically, not a chain reaction necessarily, more a synchronized incident.
Oh, Emery down the inside there in towards Hatzenbach. So move forward for Emery up into 11th. Straddy is falling back in this, and I do feel that Straddy has maybe got a bit of damage, and also maybe a slowdown penalty from the chicane as well at the end of the Grand Prix loop. So that's why he's dropping down in that one. At the front, it's still Quirk from Jardier. Oh, yeah. Casey's down to 7th now. He was in 5th. And Tony Kanan's dropped down. Yeah. Well, put 2 and 2 together?
I don't want to put 2 and 2 together is what I was just about to say, but I get the sense that Casey Cohen may have really allowed Quirk to be in a great spot to now run with relatively little pressure, because he had actually kept the gap to Kerwin at about 10 seconds, which is a really impressive task. Kerwin, what, about 3.5, 4 seconds back from Guven at the end of our previous race, and so we'll check out the replay here, and it's going to be through the Hudson back on the curbs potentially. So Casey making a mistake.
It's a big moment. He does well to only just glance the barrier, doesn't he, actually? Watch your rejoin.
There's no
that's
TK.
all okay. There's no TK, yeah. So something happened. Something separate happened to Tony on that lap, but yeah, that's what happened to Casey.
So we were talking about curbs, right? And knowing which ones you can use. They are high curbs here, and with modern cars being so close to the ground, you don't want to get beached on a curb like I may have done before in one of the 4-hour races that you can run here at this track on iRacing from the lead of a race.
I didn't know it was from the lead.
No, that is a regret.
Wow. Porsche Zaza ahead of Heike 360. Then on track, they've got Tony Kanan behind them as well. Not that far behind is Dave Cam and Emery. So those two. Here's a replay then of Tony Kanan. See what happens to TK out here, and it's going to be one of those curbs, is it? Or is it going to be the same? It's the same one.
Deja vu. I don't think we have the rights to that song, but now I've got it playing in my head. Again, it's a showcase that the best drivers, Casey Cohen, of course, one of eNASCAR's best, TK, one of Real World Open Wheel's best. We can all make mistakes like this, and it shows how impressive it is that we've got drivers like Quirk that are at the front building up 5-second advantages and holding the gap back to the chasing Pulpo Lopez at about 12 seconds. I think we may now be more looking at the Pulpo Lopez and Bastian Busch trying to climb up to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions. I'm totally not trying to put the commentator's curse down on Quirk. I just want to be clear. I can already see his chat coming for me.
Quirk is what, 4.6 seconds clear. Hey, I'm sitting right on the fence here. You know, that's my job here. Although I do want to see Casey just lose out a few more points, make it a bit closer in the championship. Here goes Heike 360, and next the move up the hill towards Nut Curve once again. I did actually tell Casey, I dropped into his chat on Twitch just before the start of our broadcast, and I did say, have a good race, just not too good, please. We want to close the championship.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's still going to probably win the championship. Yeah. We just want to have someone else winning the races on our way to the end of the season. Remember, top 5 win Tag Heuer connected watches, and even though the Pulpo Lopez missed the first 3 races when we were in the Cup car initially before switching over to the Cayman, he's still very much in with a shout of getting up into that top 5, given the consistency that he's had and the utter chaos that everyone else has had to deal with.
Oh, well, this race for 10th place is really close. Because now you've got Tony Kanan, you've got Dave Cam, Emery and Straddy all together on track, and you can't really make any moves through this section. You've really just got to follow the leader through here right now. And it's a real roller coaster, and Tony Kanaan has jumped off the roller coaster. He's made a mistake. Dave Cam takes advantage of it. So too is Emily. Emily Jones moves past as well, and Straddy, unfortunately, gets stuck behind now.
Got to be so careful here as you work your way up and down through that roller coaster from what is the highest point on the Nordschleife as well. This is through Brunschen towards the end of the Nordschleife as we head towards Flansgarden and that jump, but it's a brave move and opportunity presented itself, and now TK is going to probably see Straddy try and get alongside into that jump. It's not a passing opportunity though, and so Straddy does have to back out, but you could just see how much closer he is onto the back bumper, working over to the Stefan Bellofesses.
Yeah, they're running through, put over, clipping that curb. That gives you a bit of airtime through there. And then through the Bellofesse, and we've got a car off, and don't say that is Bastian Boos. It is. Oh, that's a huge mistake, and yeah, that car's damaged. That is seriously damaged.
He'll pull off to the side, unfortunately get out of dodge just in time, I think, although he might be trying to back it up and rejoin. Self-inflicted mistake, it would seem, working up towards that second and mini carousel, and there's a couple of corners there that are off camber, and you carry so much speed in and you want to be brave. Use the downforce on this RSR. Was that the downfall of Bastian Boos?
Well, we'll have to look back at that one. Well, Tony Kanaan down the Dottinger Heuer. He's trying to run that one. He's got a little bit of damage on the front of that car after that contact with the barrier earlier on this lap. Drops back into the draft. Perfectly done. Use the slipstream of the car in front of you to go a bit faster. But he's struggling to actually catch up, and I think that damage to the front of his car is really affecting him top speed.
Saw in the previous race, right at the end, how Bastian Boos was able to slingshot past the man that we talked to now, the Pulpo Lopez, who's going to go up the inside of Dan Suzuki. How are you feeling about us distracting you today at the Nordschleife, Pablo?
I'm feeling good. No.
You're feeling good about it?
Really tough race, but finally we survived. Or at least at the moment, we're trying to get P3.
Is it a little bit easier for you to talk to us in the GP section compared to the Nordschleife? I am curious
for sure
what you think about that contrast.
I think I love the combined layout because you can rest a bit in the GP and then go rally mode in the Nordschleife. So it's a pretty nice combo.
We got Dan as well here. Dan, you're behind Pablo. What do you have to send to him as a message?
I don't think I have anything to send. Just try to survive here.
Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Use those pedals, man.
Pedals?
That's a good question, Dan. Which pedals are you using today?
The Supercup ones, but it doesn't really help in this case. Yeah, I just try. Maybe get a little bit of draft, but yeah. I mean, this is going so much better than I thought before the race. So yeah, let's hope for the best.
Low expectations, Dan, even though I guess you probably have some decent number of laps here on iRacing.
I like to watch the Nordschleife. I don't like to drive it.
Okay. Pablo, what do you think about that?
I love both. I like to drive and watch.
How many laps do you think you've done here across the 10 years that you've been on iRacing?
Thousands. In real life, only 2 though. But in the virtual world, I did thousands. Although Ruben was
100.
really fast, like alien pace.
Dan, how easy was it to keep some of those faster guys behind you through this reverse grid race?
It's okay. I mean, pretty much the only overtaking opportunity that is really good is Dottinger Heuer. And yeah, it was a little bit critical with Dave in the first race, but he had damage, so it was okay. But here, I mean, you really have to send it like a madman to pass. I guess Pablo is happy that he got by before the Nordschleife, but it's difficult. Keeping the car on track is already difficult enough, I think.
Well, it's good that we have the technical challenge, because next up it's 2 draft-heavy tracks. We'll let you guys focus on this final lap. Thanks, as always, for indulging us. But Paul, the Pulpo Lopez, now 10 seconds behind Quirk on this final lap of the race.
Yeah, Quirk's doing a real job up at the front. It's we've got to point that out. He is doing a sensational job. But joining us now, the man in second place trying to charge down Quirk is Jardier, and we've also got Matt Malone who's going to be joining us as well. I mean, you two, you're fighting for second and third place. Jardier, how are you finding this this week?
Oh, I want to have it over. I want to see Pablo behind 4 seconds and Matt 2 seconds. I just want to be over. Red flag right now.
Well, there's no red flag for you. You've got to get to the end of this lap. But come on, you've got that advantage now. You can surely do this.
No, yeah. Of course, like I need to do 0 mistakes, but you know, like all these drivers around me are really fantastic iRacing drivers, so they have so much advantage. Like just Matt is like over a second faster in carousel than me.
Yeah, what's the deal, dude?
Yeah.
I hit you on accident. I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries.
Well, that's...
Yeah, pushing.
Yeah, you've got to push. That's the thing. I mean, Matt, the power of the mustache is working out in the second race for you, but you've got a fast Pablo Lopez coming up behind you.
Oh, is he coming? Is he charging? I saw Casey coming.
Oh,
yeah.
Casey
Oh,
as
wow.
well.
Oh, no.
Just do some defense for Jardier. Let him get second place.
Yes, please, man. Take one for the team, okay?
Hey, you know, I'm a nice guy, you know. I might just do that. I'll get this Porsche extra wide here.
Well, I mean, after the help that you got last week, it's only best that you return the favour, isn't it?
This is true. This is true.
But Jardier, you know, you've got to just keep the focus up. I mean, how hard is it when you're going around the Nordschleife with myself talking to you? That must distract you a bit.
No, it's fine. This track is just so amazing, man. It's like I love chilling on this track. It's beautiful, you know. It's absolutely beautiful. This car is a handful though on this track, so it's good fun together.
I'll tell you what, you guys must be made of something different because I don't chill around here. That is for sure. But Quirk, you've got it all to yourself up the front there. What's going on? It's a turn of pace.
Well, my strategy of crashing in the first heat to get pole position in the second heat and then just running away is working out really well. So everything's going according to plan.
Well, it's a bold strategy, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know if I would have that in the strategy play, but you must be feeling comfortable. 6 seconds ahead of them.
Yeah, it's been a pretty smooth drive so far. I'm actually kind of surprised I haven't had a major mistake. I think I'm probably jinxing myself now.
I feel like safety car help.
Well, I mean, we were trying to give you the commentators. Well, I say we. Arjuna was trying to give you the commentators' curse, Quirk, because we've got replay on the screen at the moment, and it's Dave Cam and Emery that were going side by side through Mutt Curve, and unfortunately, it's Dave Cam who ends up in the wall. So that means that Dave is out of this race as well. But come on, Matt. Now you've got Pablo Lopez right behind you. Just make it the widest. Oh, he's gone for it already.
Oh, jeez. These guys are good.
Oh, God.
Well,
I'll get it back on the straight.
Get him. Yes, please.
You're safe, Jardier. You're safe. Right into the sunset.
You've got 3 seconds, Jardier. You've got plenty of space there.
Yeah, but Pablo was like 5 seconds faster than the previous lap.
Yeah, but that's over a lap. Oh, Matt.
Oh, no.
Hold it.
No, saved it. Yank it down into save.
Wall assisted save, but it was a save nonetheless.
Got it.
It'll polish out all that, but come on. Quirk, I mean, you've got it all on your own now, up at the front then. Just nice, easy, quiet day at the office down in Dottingham, I suppose, for you now.
Yeah, it's a shame the first race went the way it did. I got a little excited and wanted to make it exciting for the broadcast. Figured I could make it too wide there and decided to jump the car on the curb and take out Jardier, and then, well, it was all downhill from there.
But you must love this RSR. We're going to Le Mans next week, 2 weeks' time. I mean, you must be looking forward to that, driving that car around here, around there.
This is a great car to drive. It fits this track really, really well.
Certainly does, and it's certainly fun as, well, Casey Kerwin and Pablo Lopez going absolutely side by side into Tiergarten at the end of lap. Quirk, you're going to be a race winner once again here, as we're hearing all sorts of noises.
Oh my God!
Pablo Lopez into the wall. Casey Kerwin comes through to third
I'm
place.
missing all the exciting stuff.
Absolutely neck and neck, Arjuna. That was really tight stuff there. And Casey's giving the place back.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to him how many points he gets, and so returns the position. A lot of fun at the very end of this race. I mean, at the Nordschleife, we always knew it was going to be a different sort of a race compared to the barn burner we had at Spa. Does not mean we cannot have fun. Here we'll have a chat with both Quirk and Jimmy Broadbent, though. Quirk, I'll ask you first. I was not trying to curse you. I was just saying mistakes are possible here. You know that.
Yeah, I know that very well.
Jimmy, it was great to have you join us. The race was rubbish. Your shirt maybe not so rubbish. Let's talk a little bit about what you have been doing in the real world over the course of the year as we take a look at the race results as well. Team 87, tell us more about that.
Yeah, we actually had our shootout yesterday for the winners to actually drive on the on our team this year in the season of Club 100, the hire karting series here in the UK. So a video coming on that soon. But yeah, we've basically the whole idea of Team 87 is to try and get more of these absolute losers, the guys on this Zoom call with me, into racing as well. I mean, I'm like the worst of all of us. You watched that race, right? You saw how bad I was, and yet I can do okay in real life racing. Imagine someone like Casey or Quirk in a real car, even Malone.
Oh now, Jimmy.
That's what they keep telling me. I don't think they're right. But yeah, I think there's the fastest driver in the world just never stepped in a racing car, in my opinion, and I think they need to be given the chance. And if it's up to an idiot sim racer like myself to do it, then hell, I'll do it. But I'll give it a go.
Love the message here on our post-race show. Quirk, we'll come back over to you. TK did say that he was here partially because he wants you to just be able to make fun of him for the next week. So we'll give you the floor to start that now.
Oh man, where do you start? There's so many things you could say to make fun of him. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know where to start. There was something.
He's very
about
shiny.
He is very shiny. There was something about the start of the race. Oh, someone made a reference to Jimmy driving a T-Rex around this track, and I said, well, I said, well, we do have someone almost as old as the T-Rex in this race with TK. So he's just an old senior citizen that's just trying to get into streaming, and we're just here to help him out.
Hey, Quirk.
Oh no!
Dinosaurs are strong. Dinosaurs are strong. They're like they actually
they're not that strong. They wouldn't extinct. They wouldn't extinct. They wouldn't extinct. They weren't that strong.
He speaks like a gazelle. He walks like a gazelle. I'm a dinosaur. Yes, I am to the core.
Well, we just had to stir the pot a little bit. Thank you so much, guys, for, as always, playing along with us. I think we broke Jimmy a little bit, I think, there. Over back to you, though, Paul.
I mean, how do you follow those three? I just can't. That is for sure. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Quirk, well done on the win. Jimmy and TK as well. Great to have you along, as always.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
My goodness. Well, that was exciting, to say the least, as we're going to be finishing the Buzz post-race show here. But Arjuna, just a final quick thought on those All-Star races.
I'm still a little bit broken. I'm crying in laughter right now because that was amazing. The Nordschleife is one of those weird tracks in that it's very much drivers against the track more than drivers fighting against each other. The All-Stars in this RSR were up against it, right? A car that maybe wasn't necessarily designed to be racing at this track given the speeds that it can run. Now, though, it sets the tone for the Supercup. We've seen how difficult it can be to pass. We know the Dottinger can be so important. Positioning your car in this coming Supercup race is going to be so important.
Yeah, make sure you stick around because right after these messages, it is the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
Taking low while I pop a bottle off for your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not bad. Deep, keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow.
This is virtual racing with real stakes. This is fine lines, milliseconds, and 200 grand. This is insane, but that's what keeps us coming back for more. The Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup by iRacing live on YouTube and Twitch.
We are getting down to the business end of the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup season, and where better to take us than the Nurburgring in the Eifel Mountains. And well, it is Paul Smith and the Arjuna Kankapati here, and these drivers, well, they've got two things in mind. One, survive the ring, and then two, get themselves the best result they can possibly get.
And it's all going to start in qualifying. I don't think qualifying has ever been so important. Such a long lap. Tire management over the course of qualifying is going to be important. And already I've talked about how there are Nordschleife specialists. Coming into this round, there's a couple that I'll highlight. Tumas Tatler, defending race winner in the iRacing 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. Alexei Nesov, who rejoins us after going off to do some GT3 racing last round, is your defending Digital Nürburgring Endurance Series champion. Plenty of drivers have done laps here at the ring. They've got to get it done in qualifying.
Well, let's check what happened last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. Here we are, Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, a track that I've been to twice myself. Green flag, and we are go here at Spa. Charlie Collins, one of your championship contenders, is all the way.
Collins was in a bit of a difficult spot. One of the Altus eSports cars trying to go to the inside and set off the chain reaction.
Few corners to go here, and the passion from Alessandro Vica. There's a little smile. There's the fist pump. It's a race win. Green flag. We are go here for the main race of the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup. And that's who's turned them around. And three cars. Intense stuff in this one. How defensive and how much weaving Jordan Caruso's having to do here. This is where it's going to be decided. Caruso's got to be careful with the weaving down the straight. Here comes Joe to the outside. He's gone a bit too deep there though. He's across the grass. He's possibly lost the chance of a lead. Jordan Caruso, a huge sigh of relief for him. He's the winner.
A 170 corners. It's partially public road, it's partly Nürburgring Grand Prix layout. It's an up and down roller coaster that will be unrelenting for these drivers in the draft pack. Of course, going back 12 months ago, Sebastian Job in the sprint race came out on top before the Welshman Charlie Collins grabbed the victory in the main race. Here in the Eifel mountain ranges though, Paul, it's one thing that we know for sure. Qualifying is always important because the margins in this series are so tight. This is one track though where I think the margins will be a little bit bigger.
They certainly will, but it'll still be tight, that is for sure. But rather than it being hundredths and thousandths of a second, it'll maybe be tenths of a second between these drivers here in qualifying. With such a long lap, 16 miles long, these cars around about, 20 seconds slower than we saw a lap with the All-Stars. But certainly these drivers, they are going to be having one heck of a challenge. And it's a track that has got history here in the Porsche Heuer eSports Super Cup. Who can forget 2020 when you had Josh Rogers and Max Benecke get together at Tiergarten. But let's have a look at the differences between the car that the All-Stars had on the left and the car that we're racing right now on the right.
You'll notice a lot of similarities. Engines somewhat similar in terms of power, although of course when it comes to the RSR that changed based on BOP. The one thing that's really different between these two cars though is the amount of downforce that they produce. That GTE GTLM spec car was a real beast, and while the GT3 Cup car has gotten a lot closer to the GT3 cars of today, it does so in a very different fashion, not through aerodynamics, a little bit more mechanical grip.
Yeah, this Cup car really shows that evolution of Porsche technology coming through, and Motorsport is always moving forward in the technology. But we're going to be starting with Group A qualifying. If you are new to the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup this season and wondering what's going on, well, we have got lone qualifying, 1 lap. That's all these drivers get each and every round. We start them off in 2 groups. So Group A are those drivers who are positions 30 up to 6th in the championship. They all go out at the same time. Then Group B go out in 1 minute intervals, or half-minute intervals, should I say, around here, for that second group, and that will decide who goes into pole position. And of course, that Group B is positions 5th through to 1st in the championship.
One thing that I think we can point out for today's qualifying is there's been, as always, teams and drivers trying to maximize warm-up to try and get the most from their qualifying 1 lap attempt. Paul, we start qualifying, or the drivers start qualifying, on the run into the final quarter at Tiergarten. There's not much time for them to warm up the tires. There's not going to be as much variance when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's very little preparation time, and you've just got to get on it straight away. So definitely a challenge for the drivers out there. Plenty of sectors around here as well, timing sectors. I'm looking at my timing screen that I've got here. 14 timing sectors for us to work through. That's how long this track is, and I'm already seeing different drivers with different purple sectors all the way through. So we'll be keeping an eye on how things go on and see if people can get back-to-back sort of multiple purple sectors, because at the end of the day, you mentioned it, tyre management, we barely hear about it in qualifying, but around a track of this length, it is key to getting a good lap time.
And so you'll notice in this first sector especially, Paul, on board with the Stormforce racing car, just how calm and tentative he's being. He's not overloading the tires, because you're already putting such an immense load on them when it comes to the corners, to the straights. You don't want to be overstressing them. Compromising your first half for the lap might actually benefit you in the second half once you get to the fun part, in my opinion, after the carousel, where it's just, like you called it earlier, a roller coaster of never-ending lefts, then rights, then lefts, then rights.
And it's not just the left and rights, it's the up and down as well that you have around here that really just makes it so unique a venue in the world. And it's a fantastic venue. I've only ever been to the Nurburgring once, and that was back in 2019 for the Sim Racing Expo. And the problem is, I didn't get the chance to go on a hot lap around, well, I say a hot lap, a taxi ride around the Nordschleife. I'll tell you who did though, the iRacing staff, who left me and a couple of others in charge of their booth while they went off for a ride around the ring.
I mean, needs must, right? Now, the staff had to make sure they took full advantage of the opportunity, and you were there, Paul. I'm sure they compensated you with the t-shirt.
Yes, yes, a t-shirt. But the big mistake was leaving me in charge of the booth.
Yeah, that's a good point. Here there are now for us, this is one of the other choke points that I'll highlight very quickly, just because during that first lap, when we always see the cars the most compressed, it's going to be when we tend to see the most accordion as well. And so that's one of those major points. Metzfeld, the other major significant corner in my mind in this first half of the lap, because there's just never-ending grass on the right-hand side, and we've all done it. We've made the mistake of going in a bit too committed. Before you get here, Paul, which is where I think you head into the heart of the Nordschleife lap.
Yeah, now going in towards this fast, if you're on half, through this fast left and then right, then into hit, miss. This never-ending right-hander before you then get towards Verseifen. The slowest corner, getting really wound up there. Easy to lock a brake as well, because you're then going into a downhill braking zone. And out of there through towards Exmuller. Through the left, up over the road bridge here. That's where one of the service roads comes on the right-hand side. Through the right here, carry the speed you can do. And then through the Lauda links. Of course, this is where famously Niki Lauda had his accident back in 1976. And then onto the brakes then, into Bergwerk. And you called it during the All-Stars, Arjuna. That is one of the most important corners on the track.
All the way up through the hill, your momentum that you shed off through Bergwerk, if you get a poor exit, you feel the pain and it just rises on that delta, and it's a never-ending pain. I can tell you from personal experience. Now, somewhat contrastly to that, Paul, we talked about 170 corners. People are going to say, oh, the cars need a lot of downforce. No, they are all running minimum downforce. They want to be the slipperiest in the straight lines that they can be, so that when they're connecting the corners on these long runs, they are not a sitting duck. It means that they're a little bit more compromised through the faster corners, Paul, especially at the end of the lap. Do watch out for Flansgarden, the Bell off S's. Those could be pretty interesting danger points.
Just looking at my timing screen, nobody has been able to get more than one purple sector so far in this session. So everybody just finding that they're individually the quickest at different sections of the track. So just goes to show just how evenly matched these drivers are in this championship, and it gives us just how wonderful this championship is as well. Pleasure to have you all along watching this one here as the drivers now are going along, and well, we're coming through. Jordan Caruso is going to join us, and Jordan, I mean, how do you prepare for this qualifying around this long lap?
Well, hopefully I've done a good job. I mean, same as most other tracks, but I think it's sort of easier to make a mistake here, so just been working a lot on consistency, being able to repeat a lap. So hopefully, I don't know, I feel pretty relaxed, so just got to bang in a lap, and hopefully it's good enough to be near the front.
And, you know, with the lead in the championship that you've got, you must be feeling quite relaxed, because you have got a margin that is to the point where you can basically miss a week and still be leading the championship.
Yeah, you'd think, but I feel like if anything, that sort of increases the pressure, because I don't know, like if anything goes wrong, it's, you know, you'd hate to sort of lose it from a lead like this, but no, I feel pretty good. My approach is the same sort of every week. Just want to keep bagging points, and yeah, hopefully come out on top.
What is going to be crucial for qualifying in around this lap? Because we've touched on tyre management and looking after those tyres. Is it important to keep those tyres in place? Maybe give a little in the first half of the lap to get it in the second half?
Yeah, it's kind of complex. I feel like if you take it too easy at the start, then the tyres are no good, but if you overdrive it, it's no good either. So, yeah, I mean, you just need to maximize every part of the track. I feel like if you try to be too conservative in some sections, then the tyres kind of drop away anyway. But I think, like, you just can't slide. Like, if you slide, especially near the start of the lap, then it's sort of gone. So you just got to keep the car straight and hit all your marks. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be seeing the first few lap times coming in just a few moments' time. You'll be looking at. So very briefly, a lot of looking good for the rest of today, though.
Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying, very briefly, just all looking good for the rest of today now.
Yeah, I mean, the racing is going to be pretty chaotic. Like, anything can happen on the back straight, on the last straight. So I just want to keep it clean, get 2 decent finishes. You know, I don't need a win. I just want to be up the front and get some solid results.
Jordan, we'll let you go and prepare. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thanks, guys.
Great to hear that insight, Arjuna, from our championship leader before he attacks a lap around here. Luca Kita, we saw him have a really good round last time out at Spa. Look at that, provisionally on pole position is Luca. That's one heck of a lap time in 8:15.4.
And he's one of those drivers that was competing in the Digital Nurburgring Endurance Series, and so has so much experience this winter of this track. We get ready, though, for Group B. Track temperatures drop slightly. It's worth about 3/10 or so is what some of the drivers were telling me before we started. 3/10 around a lap as long as this. That's basically the same as no difference at all, as equal a playing field as you can get. There is one driver that's not going to be setting a qualifying time though, Paul. That's Diogo Pinto, our defending champion, qualifying ban for today. Talking with him just before we went on air, and he was telling me that this is his favorite track along with Le Mans, so he's hoping to just be picking his way through carnage and trying to find his way up to maybe the top 10 at the end of the feature. Keep an eye out for a driver that we've already seen charge his way from the back of the field multiple times this season.
It's not been a good defense, has it, of his championship, and we've seen drivers in the Porsche Tagore eSports Supercup struggle to defend a championship, haven't we? They've won it once year, and then the next year they've seemed to struggle.
It's one of those things where he was so consistent last year, it's hard to have seasons like that again. We'll have a chat, though, with provisional pole position winner Luca Kita, who joins us now. Luca, big smile on your face. How good was the lap?
The lap was really amazing. It was so clean, no mistake, to be honest, and I'm so happy to finally make it happen on a track. And I love this track. It's my home track, basically. So yeah, I just love the track. I'm happy that I'd work here. So yeah, big smile. It doesn't matter what happened now.
Came into this round 17th in the championship. How's your rookie campaign gone, in your opinion? You say it's all come together. Talk to us about the previous 7 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the first 4 rounds was really hard. A lot of mistakes, no quali pace, always have mistakes and stuff. And yeah, it started with the last round, maybe some more confidence just in general in the quali. And yeah, I'm just working on that more and more. So yeah, I'm just need to try to make it happen in every quali now to gain points.
Urano has plenty of experience at this track. How does that help you coming into this round with this car?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of my favorite tracks. Always love to drive it in every car. It doesn't matter, GT3, Porsche, and yeah. So yeah, I was at the beginning already, okay, that's my track. I can make a lot of things happen here, and yeah, I made it.
We'll keep you around as we watch these Group B drivers going out for qualifying. We saw Charlie Collins start his lap. Now Alejandro Sanchez is out there heading in towards Quidobacca Heuer on his qualifying attempts, Paul.
Yeah, Zach Campbell is on his lap as well. He's just on the start of this one. So too is Sebastian Job. So those Group B cars, as you say, getting themselves out to try and get themselves pole position. Charlie Collins hasn't been setting the world on fire with his early sectors of this lap. Not a single purple sector from him. Sanchez, the 3rd sector was a purple sector, so he's put in a little bit of a quick time there. So it could be steady away for Collins, Arjuna, who, again, we had him down as a championship contender, but the last 3 rounds at Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen and Spa, they've just all gone wrong for him.
It started at the Circuit of the Americas, didn't it? The start of the bad run for him. Still has the chance, you'd say, to maybe fight for 2nd with his VRS co-anda teammate Zach Campbell, Sebastian Job, Alejandro Sanchez in that mix as well, but still has plenty of the lap to go. Luca, I will ask your opinion on this. We talked to Jordan about tyre management in a qualifying lap. How did you approach that here today?
Yeah, it was basically a little bit hard on this track. It was really strict. So yeah, my strategy actually was not doing much. It was in the practice all the way, always felt more confident on that. So I just kept that, doing no tire warm-up, and yeah, it worked. It worked.
When we get to the race, one thing that I had heard from one of the drivers was that tire percentage in terms of condition at the end of these races, similar to what they were seeing at the Circuit of the Americas, but it felt a lot worse. Does that track with what you're feeling as well?
Yeah, it's the same. It's really hard getting towards the end of the race. Yeah, the rear just stepping out every time, lockups, and yeah, it's really hard. It will be a lot of sweat incoming for the race, but yeah, that's what we need to manage in this series, I guess.
Most important question. Pole is great, but it's not where you want to be coming on to the Dottinger on the final lap of the race. Which position do you want to be in?
Probably a 3rd or yeah, 3rd position. I guess is the best option for the Dottinger, but yeah, we will see.
3 wide, it sounds like incoming, Paul.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it certainly does. Charlie Collins has set a faster purple sector through this last sector, but Alejandro Sanchez has now got 4 purple sectors around here, and we've got another driver joining us here. 6th place at the moment, Max. I mean, it's a tricky track. You've got experience of it through every season of the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup. Is that experience going to help you out this week?
Looking at the lap time right now, I don't think so. There's a couple of people coming, so yeah. I mean, that lap time I did is like roughly 2.5 tenths of my personal best I did all week. So missed something probably on the setup or tire warming something. So yeah, but happy with the lap. So did as much as I could. So let's see. Obviously, race is going to be completely different. I expect a huge train and then lots of fights on the back straight. So let's see.
And you know, we've not really been able to speak to you this season, unfortunately, but you've switched teams. You're now with Mouse. I mean, how has that transition for you gone, switching teams and having a different setup and organisation there?
Yeah, obviously with Mouse we focus on many different areas. So for me personally, driving-wise, not much has changed, right? Still trying my best to be up there, but obviously it's getting more and more difficult with more and more people joining and also more and more series out there. But the transition has been smooth. I'm very happy with where I am, also with my teammates. So hopefully there's going to be a lot more coming up this year or maybe even next year. Let's see. And then hopefully we can compete there as well.
I mean, how difficult is it to manage your time there between different series? Because it's a lot to be doing in a very short period of time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. This year has been like, it showed me that it's actually not really possible for what I want to achieve in sim racing. The way I did it this season, it's not really working out because you're constantly up there somewhere, but it's like not enough for me. So it's very, very difficult. For example, this year I had, like in the last 3 months or so, I had one free weekend where I was able to, you know, just enjoy my time with my girlfriend as well and with family, you know. So it's very tricky. But I hope that yeah, someday we have you know, a big organization handling all of that, and yeah, the prize pools which are big enough, or even like sponsors which are big enough to help out the teams and stuff. But I think we're getting there. It's just a matter of time. But this year has been very difficult.
Well, we're getting the first lap times coming across now. Charlie Collins is going to be coming across the line to set his lap time. He goes 6th there, so does go quicker than Max. Thanks to Max for joining us. Luca, you're still provisionally on pole position. The next driver, though, is Sanchez, and he has been rapid through the sectors here. But you never say never. You can still make a mistake at Tiergarten, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, track is long. But yeah, he's really, really fast here, so we will see.
We certainly will see, Arjuna. I mean, if Sanchez did manage to get pole position here, that would be his 3rd pole of the season.
And I would not be totally shocked. I keep talking about the Digital Nurburgring Endurance Championship that so many of these drivers compete in. And Sanchez joined the Haupt Racing team late in the season and set us on fire with the pace that he showed. Wondering how it's going to translate into this Cup car today. Stormforce looking good with Johan Haas, so clearly they've got something in the setup. Let's see what Sanchez has done in terms of time.
Across the line he goes, and he goes to pole position, does Sanchez. And what a lap time. 8 tenths of a second difference, Luca. I mean, he's on another level there. I'll take that stunned silence as yes, he's on another level.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was just didn't heard anything. Yeah, I mean, already in the practice he did like a giga lap, so yeah, definitely deserved. He was always quick here, fully deserved. But yeah, I'm happy anyways.
Luca, we'll let you get off and get prepared for this race. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Because Arjuna, we're currently on board with Sebastian Job, and he is on fire as well.
I was told that Job had about a second on the rest of the, half a second rather, on some of the other drivers. It was tracking so well until he got into Tiergarten, and I think Job just made a small mistake. It should be good enough for Job to grab second, but Alejandro Sanchez with a statement today, currently with provisional pole.
It's still half a second between Sanchez and Job on that front row of the grid. Zach Campbell is your next driver, who's going to be coming to the line. Now, Campbell at the moment, he's not really on pace. He's only got one fastest sector time right now on his lap, so it's really been a struggle for the young man from Georgia. And well, Campbell, what can he do towards the end of the lap? I think basically he needs to straight line Tiergarten to have any hope here.
I don't think we're ever worried now about Sanchez being beat. I think Campbell might still have a chance at Job here. Not so worried about Caruso, who seems to be struggling in this back half of the lap. But after Zach Campbell started to pick up the form once again to the line, it's not going to be good enough. He makes a mistake through the final sector. He's down inside of your top 8.
Yeah, 7th place there for Zach, 15.7. Here's Jordan Caruso then. Championship leader is going to be the last driver to set himself a lap time here in this race. And we've got Sanchez here as well. I mean, what a lap time there for yourself, currently provisionally on pole position.
Yeah, looks good. I don't know if any of the other guys will drop it because the track temp is dropping a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. But overall, quite a solid lap, no mistakes. Overall, a bit less grip than I anticipated, so it was a matter of getting adapted to it. And at the end of the lap, the middle part to the end, it was good, so we didn't kill the tire, so happy days.
We're just going to watch Jordan Caruso come across the line here to get your reaction as well, because Caruso he's not got any purple sectors here. He's going to come across the line. What is his time going to be? Well, it's going to be 13th for Jordan Caruso. So, Sanchez, you are on pole position here.
Let's go.
Congratulations, Alex. Go. Get yourself ready for this race. Thank you so much for joining us here. But it's another Tag Heuer pole position award win for the driver from Stormforce Racing of Alejandro Sanchez. That's now 3 pole position awards to Sanchez. He's getting himself closer to getting the Tag Heuer connected watch.
And at this point, it's coming down to just Sanchez and Caruso being in contention for the pole position award, because Campbell, Job, and Biko have 1 pole apiece. That's 3rd pole position this season for Sanchez. Caruso still there with 2. What an interesting qualifying session, though, Paul, here at the Nordschleife. Sanchez blowing us away at the front of the field. We'll see if he can translate that over to the race, where the margins are expected to be much, much closer.
Well, let us take you through then your starting grid for the sprint race, and it is Sanchez from Job ahead of Keita and Half, with Webster, great qualifying for him, and Marina Sarica. 4th row of the grid for Zach Campbell and Alessandro Biko. Charlie Collins 5th row alongside Max Benecke, with Quentin Violette and Alexei Nesov on row number 6. 7th row for Caruso, your championship leader Julian Sonnen alongside him. Talons and Fluke with Mangan and Nielsen. 10th row for Oscar Reina with Lasse Bach alongside him. Then it is Christopher Dambit, Sam Keiter, Simone Maria Marcheno and Bryn Collins on row number 12. 13th row for Bobby Zelensky and Gustavo Ariel, with Pinto not setting a qualifying time after his misdemeanor last time out. Thomas Settler and Matthias Stuckbeck round out your 29 starters. Well, Arjuna, we've just got about half a minute left. How difficult is it when you're Jordan Caruso to be in the back pack there?
It's going to be difficult for Caruso in 13th, but he's in the danger zone. As long as he continues this great run in the 3-lap sprint race to stay out of trouble, that's all he's looking to do. Main race 4 laps is not much longer. It was interesting to hear his mindset though, Paul. He doesn't feel like being a full race victory clear of the rest of the pack is comforting. If anything, to him, that's stressful.
Well, drivers will be starting to look to the starters gantry. The revs will rise and we'll be all set for the sprint race here at the Nurburgring. Green flag, away we go, and it's a good start from Alejandro Sanchez on the front row of the grid. Job along with him as he goes down towards turn number 1. This tight chicane, will they all manage to get through? And it is a tricky chicane to get through cleanly. 2, 3 wide further back, and your field is checkups, is bumping of bumpers, and they get through and clean away mostly. in towards the bottom half of the Grand Prix loop. This is where you can also have little bits of issues between the drivers, but it's also your best chance to get an overtake done in the early stages.
Once you get off to the Nordschleife, you know at least for 3 or 4 minutes you'll be single file and just trying to funnel your way through. Look at Sebastian Job already feeling the urgency, trying to get past Alejandro Sanchez. Not sure that's necessarily the wisest thing. Already we've heard drivers say they want to be in 3rd spot. Look at Luca Kita. I think he might be quite happy with where he sits right now. It's not about the first 2 laps. It's all about that 3rd and final lap, Paul, and our run on the Dottinger.
Yeah, certainly is. Championship leader Jordan Caruso's down to 15th after a poor start from 13th. So drop of 2 places. Here we are on board with Caruso. He's behind Jamie Fluke. Julian Sonnen in front of them with Salva Talons behind. I mean, Jordan said it himself. He's concentrating on scoring himself points in this round. That's all he needs to do for the rest of the championship, but he can't afford to get too far down the points order, though, can he?
No, I think for Caruso, the goal is going to be to try and pick his way up into the top 10 and try and flirt with that top 8 invert. Because, again, remember, 8th becomes 1st for the start of the main event. And all it takes is being up in that position to then really transform how the results will look heading out of that weekend. Here's our first trip, though, onto the Nordschleife through the Hudson back. We've talked about the treachery of curves. Tires already coming up to temperature and pressure, surely for these drivers, hopefully not too concerned about that. But look how much more aggressive that they are all being around the curves here, using them and trying to just take as much of the track surface as possible, avoiding the grass.
Yeah, you have to basically just take every single bit of asphalt and curb and everything else that comes along this track, because you've got to take advantage of them all. Look at them, they're taking off up over the rise there at the Flugplatz. My goodness, these Porsches, they're not designed to fly, but, well, all aboard. 29 commercial flights right here. I don't think I'd want the ride with some of these drivers, though.
And that's where the lack of downforce in this Cup car becomes so apparent as well. In the 24 hours of the Nurburgring, in the real world and the virtual, GT3 cars and these Cup cars race at the same time on the track. Cup cars are faster in a straight line, which is great down the Dottinger for them, frustrating for the GT3 cars, and it turns around through some of these other complexes. That section at Flugplatz, especially scary in these Cup cars. By contrast, I actually think the section at Flansgarden, the jump that we were talking about later in the lap with the All-Stars, isn't so scary in these Cup cars because of the way that you drive it, Paul. We talked about it. Brake a little bit early, knock it down a gear, and run your way through the corner.
Got to be careful with that, though, because we saw in series history, Sebastian Job blew an engine at that jump towards the end of the lap at Flansgarten. So it is something that you've got to be wary of out there on track and just not cause any issue for your cars. On board then with Sanchez, you've got Sebastian Job right behind, and well, we mentioned it at the start of this particular part of the show. Sebastian Job, a race winner around here. He knows what it takes to win around here. It's all a little bit too late for him in terms of the championship, because he is, what, 3rd place, but he's almost 100 points back, 95 points back off of your championship leader.
But this is what you were trying to say earlier, Paul, about Jordan. The fact that he's down in 15th position means that it brings these drivers in a little bit closer. We have 2 draft-heavy tracks coming up next. Let's not try and beat around the bush. When we head to the Circuit de la Sarthe, when we head to Monza, there is jeopardy on the line. There is no comfort for the drivers. And so even the fact that Joe moves up into 2nd within striking distance of Caruso, yes, I don't think any of these drivers are really saying the championship is done and dusted, because at the end of the day, there's no guarantees you're going to finish any of the next 4 races that we'll have heading out of today.
You can see those live championship points on the right-hand side of his screen then. Sebastian Job moving up into 2nd place in the championship if things finish as they are. Zach Campbell and Sebastian Job, they're in that fight for 2nd place. So those 2 swapping places. Caruso, though, down there in, what, 15th place, so he is still in the points. You get, in this sprint race, you get points for the top 20. And then in the main feature race, it is the top 25! That's Nesov! That's Nesov in the wall, and that is huge! up at the top of the hill.
And after leaving us last round to go off and race in the real world, Nessoff returns, and I was hyping him up, and unfortunately comes unstuck. Looked like that was on the run up through towards Bravery, Moot Curver as well, so not unsurprising. Do have to wonder if he touched the grass on the outside or if he was assisted. It has broken up the pack just a little bit now as well. We've got two definite trains building, a train of 10 at the front that are trying to break away, and then a peloton behind that has really taken Jordan Caruso out of real contention of being in that top 8 invert.
Yeah, this is that's really harmed Caruso. It does get him up one place, but we'll have a look at the replay of what happened then. And here we are, and Nessoff's at the back of them and just gets on the grass. Oh, and he's trying to fight it all the way along. Gets across to the other side, and I tell you what, fair play to not end up, to try and control that car as much as possible to keep it out of the way, because that would have been a huge pile-up if he hadn't.
That looked like the commitment that you take into that corner with a GT3 car. He restrained it a little bit, but I think Alexei Nessoff with a slightly self-inflicted mistake there.
Yeah, just went that little bit wide through Moot Curve, and you're absolutely right there, through Bravery. It just, as we see that other point, the Flatsgarten 1 then, up over the jump, and yeah, pretty much everybody just doing as you predicted, Arjuna, just touching the brake, settling the car before going over that jump. It's quite a rally sort of technique, actually, to take that jump.
I think the fact, you mentioned the fact that Sebastian Joe blew his engine there, I think that's why everyone's doing it. It's not necessarily quicker to do it either or. The one thing that you risk by going more aggressive over the jump at Flatsgarten is damaging your engine, and what's a rally usually about? About damage mitigation, and it's somewhat similar here at the Nordschleife.
It certainly is, yeah. The amount of times that the cars take off, it is surprising. Well, Sanchez has an 0.8 of a second lead right now over Sebastian Job at the front of the field. There you can see it on the top of your screen. We've got the race for 12th going on as well with Sonnen and Fluke and Caruso. And it's two long snakes going up along the Dottinger Hut. And nobody's really making any moves. The slipstream, it's just not there for them at the moment, and it's almost like in another form of motorsport where you end up with a DRS train. Just everybody's going the same speed.
What's our DRS then? Is it the chrome horn? Is it hairpins? I don't know.
There's a move there. That's it, the Tiergarten then. So moves. That was
I'm Koiter on Kevin Nielsen,
yeah.
I think.
Did look like that. So yeah, definitely getting them through. So down towards the end of the first lap, it is still Sanchez from Job, from Kita, then Half, Webster, Cooper Webster in that 5th place, Marina Sarika 6th, Zach Campbell 7th, currently in provisional pole position for the second race is Alessandro Bico, 8th place ahead of Charlie Collins, and then Max Benecke in 10th place. And then, as you say, there's that 3-second gap back to Quentin Violate in 11th place. So those drivers sort themselves out, and it's all single file right now. And this is the calm before the storm, I think. The last lap is where we will really see people starting to make some moves.
So there's two things to look at, right? Not just looking at the front, but again, I'll draw attention to that top 8. Because if you want to be 3rd in line at the front, I don't necessarily think it's the same for Benecke, who is effectively 10th in line once you add in everyone's drafting benefit there. So maybe it's more a battle between Bico and Charlie Collins, and what a fight that is. Bico trying to get back up to the front of the field after what was a very emotional victory at Spa. And then Charlie Collins just trying to get some luck back on his side. One driver that doesn't need any luck, front of the field, Alejandro Sanchez, converts that gap in qualifying to a gap in the race.
Certainly does. And Sanchez, well, I mean, he's really been one on a charge at the moment. Of course, a race winner at Circuit of the Americas as well, don't forget, in this championship. Sanchez, 3-time pole position award winner as well. He wants to get himself a new watch, and I wouldn't blame him in all of this. But Job, he'll be have the bit between his teeth, trying to hang on to the coattails of Sanchez. These two have been racing against each other in this championship for so many years now. They know each other very well. There we go. On board with Job on the top. And Zach Campbell, who came into this round in second place, dropping down to third place on the live championship points that you can see on the right-hand side. Down to 72 points is the gap, though, between Job and Caruso if things stay as they are right now. But Job will have his set sight firmly in front to get maximum points.
Still a long way to go in this championship at the end. As much as we're still talking about 3 rounds left to go, we know just how tumultuous a season it has been for everyone barring Jordan Caruso, who seems to be impervious to the chaos spell that's being thrown to get things underway. Jordan Caruso still comfortably in 14th as well, and this is the important thing. Even though he's down in the field, he's not forced any issues. I don't think it's really been too many opportunities, though, because looking up and down, Paul, outside of drivers that made their mark on the start of the race, we haven't really seen too much shuffling outside of that.
One thing I will say about this round of the championship is you look at this field, look at the top 10. How many rookies are in that top 10 right now? I think it's just the one in Luca Kita, and it's showing that experience around this venue and having that knowledge of this venue like Kita has, as you pointed out, Arjuna, really does help. But having that experience in the championship as well around here does help you out in this round of the championship.
And I wonder what that's going to be like heading off to Le Mans and Monza, because I don't necessarily think that experience is going to be as important. Those are the types of races that, yes, the drivers that have been in this championship for years have done many a time. But think back to Watkins Glen. That was a sort of race where we saw the rookies being mixed up with the top drivers in what was a, should we say, Talladega, Daytona style race. Circuit de la Sarthe is not usually too different with the amount of 3 and 4 wide that we tend to get. Very different to the single file that we get here today.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that going through the screen, Quentin Violate, then Julian Sohn and his teammate behind with Jamie Fluke. Fluke, one of the most experienced drivers out there in this field. And again, he's been one of those drivers who's been doing double duty in other series as well. So he's had to split his time like Max Bedecker and others as well. Johan Half is another one. And it is that challenge, and it was interesting. It was really good insight, actually, to hear that from Max in that interview in qualifying, to see just how much it's actually affecting him this year.
That was one thing as well that I talked about with Max at the end of last year, was how much qualifying has been a struggle for him, because we've had all the different games that have been played, and he's never really been a fan of them, has never really clicked with wanting to do that either. And so when he's had good qualifying opportunities, we've seen him more often than not keep himself up towards the front of the field. Those have been more, unfortunately, rare than often.
Well, let us take you on board then with our drivers as we give you a little bit of buzz, full throttle. Well, that is our Buzz Full Throttle, and one thing that I am noticing here is the gap at the front is very much on the bubble of breaking the slipstream gap. So Sebastian Job, he needs all that he can to help him try and get up to Alejandro Sanchez. He is still just in that slipstream. Luca Kita, though, he is looking keen here to try and get past Job. But Cooper Webster could well help his teammate out here, Arjuna. He's in fourth. Meanwhile, further down, Jordan Caruso is almost bump drafting Jamie Fluke down towards Tiergarten.
Yeah, trying to do the 2-on-1 past Quintin Vialate, and Jordan Caruso, who has his championship on the line, elects to be brave, and Vialate doesn't, Sonnen rather, doesn't haunt him too much. That's Caruso up to 13. I do wonder, though, front of the field, with Alejandro Sanchez being so far clear of Sebastian Job, if we should watch for Cooper Webster to get past Luca Kita and Job for second on that final lap. I don't think we're too much worried about the front of the field, at least for now.
Further down in your field, Diogo Pinto started at the back of the field. He's only been able to get up to 24th in all of this as they go in towards turn number 1. And oh, there's a car sat in the middle of the road. That was, I believe, Kevin Nielsen. Yeah, Nielsen's dropped down the order. And, well, that's a bit of a breath intake from Arjuna. I wonder what the drivers would have been feeling going into there.
Fortunately, he was already down in the midst of the edges of the top 20, so it wasn't too many cars that got tangled up. You could see on the right side plenty of damage to the door, to the rear right quarter panel as well. And so Fire Simsport, who were one of the teams that we expected to show up strongly in this World Championship after impressing us on the road up here. Let's check out what happened into turn number 1.
Onto the brakes. Is it going to be a bit too keen from Marchando? Oh dear, Simone, that wasn't the cleverest one, unfortunately. And that means, and Nielsen just has to sit there, and that is the worst feeling in all of motorsport, having just the field going past you.
Simone wasn't feeling great coming into today. Hasn't finished the last 3 rounds of the championship well either because of various misfortunes. His chances of holding on to a top 15 spot and his Super Cup license looking increasingly slim, and maybe that move born of desperation more than anything.
Yeah, it was a move, and that is one of the better places to make a move, isn't it? Down into turn 1, it's such a tight chicane there that you're practically down to first gear there, and it's just so tempting. But with the chance of locking up a tyre, you've got to get it absolutely spot on as we look at Nielsen's on board.
I think we're going to then see as well all the traffic that filtered its way on through. Down in through the corner. You can see getting tagged from behind. There's not really much that you can do in that situation. This is where that F3 relative box on iRacing is so useful. Watch your rejoins. No Connery Maddock here to shout at you for making a mistake. That was well done from Kevin Nielsen.
Yeah, that gets the seal of approval, I think, does that one for that rejoin. And certainly feeling a bad feeling though for Kevin Nielsen, though. He's had it tough here in this championship. He's one of the newcomers to the series. He's 8th out of the rookies. I mean, the rookies, they've got their own little thing that we look at them and see how they're performing against each other. Ariel's leading that, but Oscar Irene has had a really good couple of rounds. Well, last round in particular had a sensational one. Lasse back as well. He's on a charge, and Luca Kita as well. The top 4 of the rookies, if you just take into account the rookies, that is quite close between those drivers.
It is. The Rookie Championship's one that we always watch with intrigue, especially in this year with so much change going on across the sim racing universe. And so there were a couple of drivers that maybe came into this one expecting a little bit more. And Luca Kita, it's great to see him being able to make his mark. Had a good round over at Spa, and so it's great to see that momentum carry on forward. I've just gotten a message, by the way, from someone in the Stormforce Apex Racing team camp, by the way. Alejandro Sanchez has said one word so far this race. It was in response to an update that he was given on the Dottinger at the end of lap number 1. No response to the update at end of lap number 2. Alejandro's in the zone.
Yeah, he's gonna be just fully focused on this one. As we have a look at the replay, then this is Bryn Collins, and that's into Hatzenbach, and the two of them together. Now, what's going to happen to Bryn here? Oh, he's run wide into the barrier. Oh, so close to that fire car. Ends up in the barrier, keeps it out the way of Bobby Zelensky, his teammate, but Bryn has taken a tour back to pit road along with Kevin Nielsen and Alexei Nesov. So those three out of this race.
Unfortunate for Bryn Collins, but that's where the lack of downforce in this car relative to the GT3 counterpart shows, because in the GT3, Porsche GT3R, they probably would have survived that moment, but with Bryn Collins just not having that front end grip from the car, it dug in and understeered off wide, and he was into the grass, and not much that they could do. Here's the 14th battle for 14th rather though. Caruso's been able to clear himself from Sonnen, who's got Talons, Koita and Mangan now all on the back of them as they work up to the Moot Curve on the final lap of the sprint race.
And look at the damage to the front of that car of Sonnen. So he's got a little bit of damage that's going to affect his top speed here as they go into Moot Curve. Very, very on as a car on the grass. Oh, as he managed to avoid the wall. You don't usually avoid the wall there. Gets back going again. Well, that was Sam Keita, was it, who was scraping down the barrier there. Still, the race for the lead is ongoing. Job has turned up the pace in that race lead battle as well. Just half a second between him and Sanchez. I think he was maybe preserving himself a little bit in the early going, Arjuna, and now he's pushing on.
Again, we talked about tyres over 1 lap in qualifying. Now we're saying 3 laps on the tyres, add in a 4th for that main race. Look, as well as Oskari Rine slides on past the stricken Urano Esports car of Sam Koitit, who you said, did he avoid the wall? There's no avoiding the wall on the outside of Bravery.
Yeah, it is just, it's a fate that you resign yourself to when you end up like that through there. But, wow.
Joe made a mistake, very small, but it's cost him 0.3 of a second immediately, and now he's going to have to work on that gap again. He's built up the advantage to Keita, though, to your point, Paul. We're now focused on 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd and 4th in terms of slingshots on this final lap.
Yeah, there's still that race for 6th place as well. Sarika's in that place right now. Biko is behind him, so his teammates got through, and he's got Charlie Collins there in 8th place. Collins, he would like a reverse grid pole position, but I tell you what, Collins will want to move forward a few more positions at the end of this race as well. Yeah, Job's dropped back. He's a second back now from Sanchez. I don't think he's going to be getting close enough down the Dottinger Heuer, and unfortunately for these drivers, that finish line comes up sooner than you would like.
Yeah, you don't really get the chance to be able to cut back underneath out of the Tiergarten. We've already seen previously in this championship how dangerous it can be to run side by side. The gap between 1st and 2nd, a full second heading out of Galgenkopf. Luca Kita's only got half a second in front of him and half a second back, but Sebastian Job, often in the grass, will be looking in the rearview mirror as the Urano Esports car tries to latch onto the back of the 22.
Yeah, Keita's got such a good run because Job had to get out of the throttle there. That's just giving Keita the run all the way down the Dottinger Heuer. All that Job can try and do is get some sort of side draft here to try and sort of stem the bleeding here. And look at it, the cars are stalling out now. They're both in that wall of air, and Job's coming back here. Keita's backed out of it. He's decided, you know what? 3rd place is a good result for me here. But up at the front, Alejandro Sanchez, it has been lights to flag here for victory for Stormforce Racing by ART. He's happy across the line. He takes the win in the sprint race here. Further back in your field, Jamie Fluke in 11th place. He's just ahead of Jordan Caruso. Caruso had Violate making a move at the line. I don't think he made it. Bobby Zelensky we're looking at further down your field as well. He's got Christopher Dambitz in front of him. There's going to be no change of position between those two out of Tiergarten and across the line for them too. But that is the first race done and dusted here. And look at that. That one mistake nearly cost Job at the end there.
One mistake, fortunately was able to wrangle it back into control, and Luca Keita was of had enough presence of mind to say, you know what, third is enough given how my championship has gone. I don't need to force the issue. Let's be honest, Job was not giving that up.
That is Alejandro Sanchez's 4th sprint race win in his Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup career. Ahead of Job with Keita in 3rd, then Cooper Webster, Johan Harth, Alessandro Bico ahead of Charlie Collins. Marino Sirica will get himself pole position for the main race. Max Benneker just missing out on that with Zach Campbell in 10th. Fluke ahead of championship leader Caruso with Violate, Talon, Sonnen, Mangan back. Tetela, Rine, and then Pinto just sneaks into the points with the final points paying position in 20th. Rest of your field then, it's Ariel, Keita, Stuckbeck, Zelensky and Marcheno with Dambits going to be the last one, and then those laps down. Nielsen, Collins, and Alexei Nesov. So that is the end of that first race of this evening. We've got another race coming up for you here today, but don't forget, it is Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati with all the coverage for you here on the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. We're coming to the business end of this championship, and I think that was important for Job to hang on to that 2nd place, and I think he'll be glad that Keita thinks of the bigger picture there.
It's not just Job thinking about 2nd, right, and getting in front of Zach Campbell. The fact that Caruso outside of the top 10, not going to be in that invert either, really does mean that the championship is starting to look a little bit more open again. We were coming into this one hoping that we weren't going to have to exaggerate to keep the championship exciting. Let's chat, though, very quickly with Alejandro Sanchez, our sprint race winner.
Oh, hello.
There we go, Alejandro, smile on your face. We saw the pump of the fists. How did that sprint race feel, especially on the final lap when Seb looked like he was closing on you?
I was just trying to manage my tires and trying to keep Seb away from the half-a-second bubble there is, just so he got more dirty air. And yeah, it went pretty well. Really happy with my pace and no mistakes made for once. So yeah, quite happy. Another win and another pole. So couldn't really ask for more. Whatever happens now happens.
Talk to us about the zone that you get into when you're driving at this track. Elvis Rankin sent me a message to say that you said one word in those first 2 laps of the race.
Yeah, I was just trying, as I said, to take care of the tire and, you know, take it easy in a way, but without losing time. And to do that, you have to be like absolutely on edge and absolutely focused. So I'm not a talkative person at all. So it's not like I would have said much more if I wasn't driving.
We'll throw you back to 8th position for this inverted main race, though. What's your expectation now after having no dirty air to deal with for the first 3 laps?
I just want to keep it on the road for once and finish as best as I can.
Well, congratulations on a sprint race victory, Alejandro, and best of luck in the main race.
Thank you very much.
So that was our race winner, and well, let's take a look at this venue in the Eifel Mountains in Germany, the Nurburgring, and well, 16 miles in length, 170 corners. After winning his race in 1968 in absolutely appalling conditions, Jackie Stewart coined the phrase, the green hell, and quite frankly, when you see the change in weather conditions around here, you can completely agree that.
Fortunately, we're not having to talk about the weather forecast today, Paul, because you could have one section of the track that goes from dry to rain to snow to hail to rain to hail to dry, all in the space of 15 minutes, while the rest of the track is absolutely clear. That might be something that next year we're talking about, though, when it comes to iRacing bringing rain into the Super Cup.
Well, you never say never. Well, here's what happened in that first race, and well, if you do want to keep up to date as well with everything that happens in the series, there's the website, iRacing.com/PESC. The cars launching themselves over the Flugplatz, and well, Porsche getting into the airplane business. Alexei Nesov, the big moment through bravery, and it was incredible that nobody collected him in that one.
It was a good job from him to lock it down and keep it off the racing line as well as he ping-ponged off over the walls and between the track. relatively calm rest of the race, though, with the exception of a couple of incidents here and there. We did see Simona Marino-Arceno getting a little bit physical with Kevin Nielsen, but then it was all about just the single filing riding that we saw, building up to that final lap in the run on the Dottinger, where a couple of drivers tried to make their move happen.
They did indeed try to make that happen. There was a bit of bump drafting, a bit of cooperation went on with your championship leader and Jamie Fluke into Tiergarten. And I think that was crucial for Jordan Caruso. Here's that mistake from Marchena, the slightest of touches, and around goes Nielsen in that one. Bryn Collins, another victim of the start of this lap. But one driver who nearly threw it away. Good car control to hold on to it at the end. Well, they went 3 wide towards the end of the lap as well with Fluke and Caruso. But that is what happened in the sprint race. Here's what happens now. It is Sarika and Charlie Collins on the front row of the grid, with Beaker and Hart on row number 2. Third row, Cooper Webster and Luca Kita. Job and Sanchez row number 4, and then it's where they finished. Bennica, Campbell with Fluke and Caruso on row number 6. 7th row of the grid for Violatti and Talons, with Sonnen, Mangan, Bach and Tetela on row number 9. 10th row for Rene and Pinto, with Ariel, Keita, Stuckbeck and Zelensky on row number 12. And then the final 3 rows of the grid: Marchena, Dambitz, Nielsen, Collins, that's Bryn Collins, and Nessov. So the drivers getting themselves onto the grid, 4 laps rather than 3. What effect will that have for these drivers in this second race?
We saw how Job was closing on Sanchez on the final lap. You wondered if he was saving his tires till the end. Add in 1 additional lap, another 25 plus kilometers. It's all about managing the Michelin rubber with so much power, so much control under your right foot. With a mix-up in the order, you got Sarika, Collins, and Biko at the front. These are some drivers that very much will want to grab a victory here at the Nordschleife.
Well, let's have a look and see how these drivers get on. The final few drivers getting themselves onto the grid, and then we'll be all set for the main race here. Pleasure to have you along with us. It's Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati in the commentary booth. And if you do want to check out this series, then iRacing.com/PESC for all the details. But the drivers now look to the starter's gantry for this, the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Revs are raised, and it's green flag. Good start from pole position for Sarika. Charlie Collins is following him though, down in towards turn number 1. Then it's 2 wide, Half and Beaker. Beaker looks to the inside of Charlie Collins as they plunge down the hill into turn number 1. Again, 2-3 wide, there's contact in the mid-pack. It's Sonnen. Julian Sonnen's around. He could tag onto the back of the pack here though if he's lucky, and not lose that too much in terms of time to the field. But so far, just that one incident here in the early going, at the right-hander heading down towards the hairpin at the bottom of the circuit. Sarika, though, with a half a second lead over Charlie Collins at the front here, but it's early going here, Arjuna.
There's a really interesting start, the way that the corner funnels in out of the initial right-hander back into the left means that outside becomes inside, inside becomes outside. There was a chance for Sanchez to send it 3 wide. Job shut the door, and using that opportunity on the exit of turns 1 and 2, actually got past Luca Kita. These moves at the start, they're so fortuitous at times. You don't always plan them out properly. They just come to you and you hope that they will play out properly. On this back straightaway though, into the far chicane, you're not going to want to be side by side through here as we enter onto the Nordschleife, because already there's some gaps starting to build through the pack.
Salva Talons has had a launch, an absolute launch here. Placed up 3 places from where he started the second race of the day, as has Oscar Mangan as well. Pinto's up 3 places himself, up into 17th. So there's been some big movers and shakers in this race. Got a couple of cars dropping down the order on my timing screen as well towards the back. So issues out there for Marchena and Nessov, so not a good day at the office for those two. But we stay green flag racing, and we stay at the front of the field. It's still Sarika from Charlie Collins, Alessandro Bico, Johan Haaf. Sebastian Job has got past Luca Kita. I think he wanted to get that car between himself and Alejandro Sanchez in the early going.
I don't blame him, given that those two very much look like the fastest two drivers here today. And so as we head towards that jump at Flugplatz once again, just look at the front end getting some air and drivers losing contact with the ground. It means that once it lands and settles, you then have to flick it to the right and hope that you haven't entered too quickly. All these drivers have really shown so far today that they've gotten the measure of this first sector of the lap. It's traditionally in the second sector where we start to see some of those issues. Sarika still leads with Collins and Bico second and third. For Williams eSports, they'll be delighted to see their drivers up towards the front, especially given that Bico's been showing plenty of form. Sarika's up in the top 10 in points as well. It's been a slow but quiet season, all things considered, for Williams.
It certainly has. I think Sarika will want to get himself a race win because his teammate got his first race win last time out. Well, Sarika will be there saying, well, hang on a second, I want a piece of the action as well. So currently finds himself at the front of the field. Christopher Dambitz and Kevin Nielsen are both out of this race. They've taken a tour back onto pit road, so that is their day done here at the Nordschleife. And I think it's fair to say for those two drivers it's been a season to forget, unfortunately, for those two.
Yes, for Nessov, I think one of the drivers that we will expect as well. For Nielsen and Dambitz, two of the drivers that we expect to go back through the road to the World Championship. Will be interesting to see how they fare, coming through with the fresh crop of talent as well that's been watching this year and saying, I'd like to have my crack at these drivers. We said iRacing.com/PESC. You can learn more about how all of these drivers made their way up to this World Championship.
Well, let's have a look back then at Salvatellen's launch. No wheel spin from him, and well, he's going to head down towards turn number one. He's in that mid-pack. You can see the cars are all funneling into that turn number one. You called it, and look at it, dive to the inside. Thank you very much. That's 2 spots. And then around the outside, you get the drive out in the corner there. That's a great launch from Talons at the start of this race. So that's how he got that job done and got himself up those positions into 11th from where he started in 14th. Jordan Caruso is still 13th in this 12th place, sorry, where he started. But up at the front now, Arjuna, it's those race leaders getting pretty close together as you see those live championship points on the right-hand side of your screen.
You can see how much closer it's getting. Coming into this round, 86 points between Caruso and the rest of the chasing field. Now there's a couple more drivers within that one race marker. Still Caruso trying to crack his way up into the top 10. Charlie Collins is now being sandwiched by those Williams eSports cars. Be curious to see how aggressive that he wants to go heading onto the Dottinger at the end of this first lap, because we saw that Sanchez was able to build up a bit of a buffer, Paul. We talked ad nauseum about wanting to be third in line. Maybe you just want to lead.
Yeah, it is very much a Coander eSports sandwich. Of course, the Williams cars are the bread. You don't call it a bread sandwich, do you? As you go through the carousel for the first time in this race, now towards the second half of the lap, and it's my favourite section of the circuit here. Once you get through this little left and right, then this is where really I think drivers can make a break, and Charlie Collins into the wall, and that is breaking it.
That's the type of season it's been for Charlie Collins. The hand in the air, the disbelief of what happened there. It was so innocuous as well. Coming off the curb over at Heuer, car just bounced, unsettled on him. And not just Charlie Collins having issues, Jamie Fluke as well.
Oh my goodness, what on earth has happened to both of those drivers? Fluke is trying to get back up to speed here. Thomas Tettel is dropping down the order on the timing screen as well, so all sorts of craziness is going on out there. So yeah, we'll have to have a look back at that one, but drama. But that does mean that it's currently a Williams eSports 1-2 at the front.
They'll be smiling over in Miami watching this and getting ready to roll out as well, I'm sure, for some qualifying actions. Sarika, the one that has been slowly but quietly in the mix of things. For Bico, a bit more hot and cold at the front or towards the back. It's good to see them being able to work together now. And if you have teammates at the front, Paul, how does that change the game when it comes to playing the drafting on the Dottinger Heuer? Does it mean that you can fan out a little bit more and try and have two of the widest Porsches in all of Germany?
And for me, you work together and do a little bit of bump drafting and help each other out. Here's what happened to Charlie Collins then. Doesn't touch that inside curb, but it's the outside curb. It snaps on him and bang. That's where the damage is done. Jamie Fluke, same corner, and it's a wiggle. It's a wiggle. The car doesn't want to behave. And then it's, well, where can you go? And it's contact. That's what ended that one. And it was with the R8G car.
Two different things kind of went on there. Collins got off to the grass on the outside of Heuer Act. That's why the car snapped on him. For Fluke, a little bit different there. Looked like the car took a bad bump, more like what I thought initially happened to Charlie Collins. And then, like you said, nowhere to go with Collins still slow with a stricken race car. Took him a while to get back up to speed. Down in towards Tiergarten, end of the first lap. Still Williams eSports 1 and 2. Then you've got the Stormforce ART car that sits in third spot. Then Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports have Cooper Webster and Sebastian Job lined up in 4th and 5th position.
You can see Charlie Collins there on the screen. This is live with Charlie, and I think he's just trying to look back and find out what on earth happened there. How on earth did that happen? But that's what this championship means to these drivers. Just one little mistake, and it's just heartbreaking. Cooper Webster's dropping down the order. I wonder if he's having a few issues, maybe with connection to the internet. Yeah, technically.
Not sure. Cooper is racing in GB3, GB4 this weekend. It's a very rainy English afternoon, is what I was told. It's a couple of races were cancelled.
You can say a normal weekend.
There we go. I'm not sure what that exactly meant, though. Let's see if we can dial up Charlie Collins, though. Charlie, I know you're probably not feeling too great right now as you get the headset on. Talk us through what happened there, man.
Oh, guys. Oh, man. I don't know. I was following Renault. Just went a bit wide. It's just a silly mistake that shouldn't be happening.
It's one of those tracks, though, Charlie, where the margins for error are so difficult. Talk to us about your preparation in the week coming up to us and how you were feeling about the race today.
Yeah, I was feeling all right. I've had some exams this week, so I've been a bit busy, but yeah, I'm just, oh man, I'm really sorry to my team for that. That's not great.
So sorry about that, Charlie. We'll let you go and take a look at what happened. But Paul, you said it. This championship means so much to these drivers, and Charlie's not feeling too happy right now.
Yeah, and the amount of preparation that these drivers put in and the hard work that they put in to get into the championship and then to hold on to it. Oscar Mangan's dropping down the order. I wonder if he's had a slow down penalty out there through the chicane. He's there on track. There's another car running slow as well. Well, all sorts is happening in the second race. It was, oh, that's a hard shoulder, and bang, into the wall. Lasse back. Thank you and good night.
That's 3 of the Fire Sim Sport cars that are out of this main race now, with back following Dambits and Nielsen into pit lane. It's just Matthias Stokeback, the final of the Fire Sim Sport cars, still in 13th spot. It's not been it's not been the best day for Fire, has it?
No, absolutely. This is a race of attrition because I'm looking at this now. Jamie Fluke is the last of the runners here on track. Here's a replay of what happened to Mangan then. So he goes through the chicane there, and yeah, it's just a slowdown penalty. That's brutal.
It was all 4 wheels to the inside of the white line on the second part of the curve. We've all done that. And then you can see it sets off a little bit of a chock-a-block reaction behind. Urano, Fire coming to blows. And Lasse back gets backed off into the wall. I think the Urano eSports car is heading over to race control at the end of the race.
Could well be, because that car was never making it to the apex there and never going too wide through the exit, in my opinion. We are not race control, by the way. I know people think that we have swear with them, but we don't. What we do need to tell you, though, is the leaders. It is still Biko at the front, with Sariko in second place. And then third place for Johan Harth. Arjuna, you've got another one of our drivers here, unfortunately.
Lasse back still. His hair looks immaculate. Unfortunately, the car not so. Lasse, not much you could really do being forced too wide into the entrance of the Nordschleife.
Yeah, I think Oscar Mangan just got a slowdown a little bit, and then he kind of like cut me off a little bit and surprised me. So I had to brake, and I locked and went a little wide. And then I think Courage, I don't know, maybe missed his corner a little bit, and then unfortunately I was, hit me a little bit too hard, and I hit the fence.
You were 14th in points coming into this round, Lasse, so you're on the bubble to hold on to your Super Cup license. What do you think you'll need heading into those final 2 rounds at the Circuit de la Sarthe and Monza, which are very much going to be draft-based races?
Yeah, definitely. I think we just have to focus on qualifying mainly. It's tough to figure out what you really need to do, and it's kind of like I don't want to say lucky. You have to be lucky to get some good tires, but it kind of feels that way. But yeah, we just have to look into it, what we're doing wrong in the qualifying, because we're definitely doing something wrong, because we are 2 seconds off this time, which, we're kind of confused, but we'll have to look into it. But I really do want to stay in the Super license. That would be great.
Well, overall, Lasse, it's been fun to see you and the 3 other Fire Sim Sport cars in this championship. You've had 5 top 10s so far. What's been the difference between the road to the World Championship and the actual Super Cup, in your opinion?
I don't think it's that much difference. Maybe the only difference is, of course, there's a lot of good drivers in the Super Cup, but it doesn't feel too different. I actually felt more nervous going into the contender series, but that's mainly because I think you want the Super license, of course, but it doesn't feel too different. So yeah, I'm a little bit less nervous when I'm in the Super Cup, but yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I guess that makes a lot of sense now. You're used to this environment. Sorry for how today went, Lasse. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. But Paul, you're standing by with a chat with Julian Sonnen after we take a look at what happened to him.
Yeah, well, we'll have a look at this then on the replay of these instances. Been incidents aplenty in this second main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, and well, here's what happened to Sonnen. So that you can see the cars having issues, and he just ducked out the way. And well, once you get onto the grass, you've got no way of holding on to that one. And unfortunately, Julian, we join you now here with us, and it certainly hasn't gone your way here today.
Yeah, no, another tough round. Seems like I can't catch any like those last few rounds. I think the pace has been pretty strong since a few tracks, but I haven't been the best man in quali either. I've done a few costly mistakes in quali, so yep, another tough outing today. I think I could have salvaged a few points in the field race, but yeah, I had that incident after in the grass after the turn 1 incident, so no, the car is very broken.
Yeah, that is just unfortunately the nature of the circuit. Very little room for a mistake to happen. I mean, we'll look at the championship as a whole. Really, really good turn of pace at the Red Bull Ring, but the rest of the season it's all been sort of in and around the mid-pack, and with a championship that's so closely in terms of competition and time between the drivers, how difficult is it to drive around each other in that mid-pack?
Yeah, Red Bull Ring has definitely been the highlight of the season. I've tried to repeat it, but I haven't been able to at the moment. And, yeah, it seems like every time I try and get a decent position in the sprint race, it kind of goes wrong. So my season has been going pretty much the same every race. I've had incidents in the sprint, and then I've tried to come back in the feature. And yeah, of course, it's very, very tight this year for the top 15. So yeah, it's difficult because you need to be a little bit aggressive to get some points to make sure you stay in the top 15, but you have to stay safe to make sure you have those points. So yeah, it's been pretty difficult and not going as I would like to so far.
Well, we'll go to Circuit de la Sarthe next time out. I mean, that is a circuit where anything can really happen, and a big slipstream fest around there. Do you feel confident going to that circuit?
confident. I'm not sure it's the right word, but let's say I'll try my best. And last year it was a pretty good round for me. I had 2 top 10 in the 2 races, so let's try and repeat it this year. But it's not I don't think it's my strongest track.
Well, Julian, thank you so much for joining us here, and unfortunately out of this race today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there we go. Unfortunately, that's the worst part of these races, as we look at Bobby Zelensky going side by side there with Sam Keitel. Unfortunately, I don't like speaking to drivers during the race because it means that they're not finishing.
Unless it's our all-stars, in which case it's fantastic. Yes. Very different situation here as Bobby Zelensky has the rear view mirrors filled by Sam Keitel. We've got plenty of places where there are passing opportunities. Most of them present themselves between the start of the Dottinger and your first entry into the Nordschleife loop. While Bobby and Sam have been fighting, there's been some door banging and whatnot as well. Johan Hart also got around the outside of Moreno Sorica to split up the Williams eSports teammates at the front of the field. And so now as we roll on to the next lap of this race, we're into this next 25 kilometers where we'll run single file before we start the battling again. Johan Hart's going to be sizing up Alessandro Bico, much like Sam Keuter's doing now to Bobby Zelensky.
Yep, in towards the Vidal chicane, and it's going to be tight between the two. It's Netherlands versus USA. Through the chicane, Zelensky can hold that inside line though. Keitel going to try and get the cut under, but not going to happen, so he's just going to have to sit it behind for the time being. But we know how aggressive Johan Hart can be in this series. I mean, we know how aggressive he is in any form of sim racing at all, because Johan, he is somebody who knows how to get the shoulders out, having been an IRX world champion, of course, here in iRacing, so he knows a thing or two about being in close quarters battling.
I always wondered, did Johan's aggressiveness suit him well for rallycross, or is Johan aggressive because he's a rallycross driver? There's two different things. You, Paul, and Tyler Maxon, our producer for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series, used to have a disagreement about whether rallycross was a contact sport or not. We'll let the viewers have their own opinion on that. But Johan's always had this ability to look for opportunities that you might not always go for, just like Sebastian Job, trying to look to the inside of Schwaudenkraut. No downforce on the front end of these cars. It is a slight tap on the brake and down a gear. It's not a passing opportunity.
Yeah, that would be the definition of either mighty brave or mighty stupid to make a move into Schwaudenkraut, if you ask me. But really, you just want to just hold your line, hold how you're going through here, and just get the best run then out of Bergwerk to try and move forward at this point of the track. So you're thinking already thinking multiple corners ahead of yourself, and that is really the nature of the circuit. You can set people up for moves multiple corners in advance. As you look at those live points here on the right hand side of your screen, with Caruso in 10th place, that championship lead is down to 59 points if things finished as they stand right now.
Caruso's only been able to get back into the top 10, and so he's not really been able to work his way on forward. Still 2 rounds left to go, more than half of a perfect race weekend. That is a nice gap to have if you are Jordan Caruso. We've seen a couple of the races at the Circuit de la Sarre. I mentioned 3 and 4 wide there being the norm. Monza, somewhat counterintuitively, at least in my mind, Paul, actually ends up being less crazy than our trip to Le Mans. So I really feel like heading into the final round of the championship, we'll have a pretty good picture of what's going to be going on and what the drivers need to do. And I wouldn't be shocked if for Jordan Caruso, it's finished inside of the top 15 or so in each of the races.
Well, it's not really that often, is it, that you would use this particular car at Circuit de la Sarre, is it? You know, you'll have a few series will rotate through there every now and again, but you know, this car really, it's not built for that venue. And so we do, as you say, get these crazy races. Who can forget last year, Sebastian Job with the save of the century, in my opinion. You know, it really did put on a display in that race at Circuit de la Sarre. There's your race for the lead at the top of your screen with Sebastian Job and Jordan Caruso on their particular places. And look at this, going into Nut Curve, into Bravery. There's no real room there in front of Job.
when Sebastian Job went to the outside there, I almost screamed, because go back to Spa, end of that race, Sebastian was so committed to the outside that it cost him. It wasn't a move that necessarily he had to go for, he wanted to go for. We've already seen what being on the outside of Moot Curve can really do. It's usually trouble. And so there was a second there where Sebastian left his destiny, his fate, in how far out Moreno Sorica was going to track out and how much room he was going to leave the Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports driver. Fortunately, everyone made nice.
Yeah, it's he just wasn't alongside enough or even really making any move. But to show your nose there, it's showing your intent with 2 laps to go here. Well, call it a lap and a half now by this point. So these drivers, they're starting to show the hand a little bit, aren't they? They're looking at the cards on the table, on the poker table, and they're wondering what is the dealer going to draw out to give them what they want. But they're keeping the cards close to the chest, but they're starting to show little signs here.
Keep a look at the likes of Jordan Caruso, Diogo Pinto as well, because the top 10 have really been able to stretch away. And so while Diogo Pinto did what he wanted to when I talked to him pre-race, which was work from a qualifying band to somewhere close to the top 10 in the feature, Jordan Caruso, in my mind, Paul, might be very comfortable to say, you know what, let me sit in 10th position, and if anyone else in front has an issue on this final lap, I'll pick up some additional points and just add to my championship haul.
Do you know what? I think with the body language of 1 or 2 out there, I think we could see a little bit of shenanigans happen towards the end of this race. And Sebastian Job, the body language of his car is very much aggression. He is looking for a move. He is looking to get past people in front because he wants to get himself the best opportunity right now of getting a race win here at the end of the day. So through the final corner before the Dottinger Heuer to Galgenkopf, and now Job not making the same mistake that he made at the end of that sprint race. Down the Dottinger Heuer, you've got to be careful with the weave. You can't weave too much. As soon as they get a bit closer, Bika will have to pick a line and then stick to it, but Johan Half is following his every single track all the way down that straight.
Alejandro said the magic number is half a second. Within half a second, you get more drafting help than you get dirty air. Once you're out of half a second, it's more dirty air than drafting help. And look at how 5 cars separated by less than a second as we get ready to start this final lap of the race. Sebastian Job, in my opinion, is at his best when he's being aggressive, but mating that with the calculated aggression of a champion. We'll see what he's got right now with 25 kilometers still left to go.
Well, he is already a champion this year in the Porsche eSports Carrera Cup Great Britain, so he knows how to win a championship this year. Look at Sanchez! Oh, there's contact with Job! Around he goes! And that is not what Job wanted! Oh, he'll be absolutely livid about that one. Sanchez was all manner of crossed up into the hairpin there, and that was just incredible. Alejandro Sanchez out of control into turn 1, and look at how that has turned things around in those live championship points.
I mean, Alejandro Sanchez did not mean that. He was trying to make the move and trying to be aggressive. He came unstuck, and Sebastian Job pays the price from inside of the top 4 to now down in 9th position, and Jordan Caruso has gone from 10th to 7th.
Let's have a look back at that one then. We're on board with Sanchez then. So this is the view that he had. That's Luca Kita in front of him. No, it isn't. It's my timing screen messing up. But down into the braking zone, and it's just he's missed his braking zone by a huge margin. He tried to find a gap between Job and the car in front of him, and unfortunately that gap wasn't big enough.
Seb is faultless in that situation, doesn't get the chance to push on this final lap, which is a real shame. But again, Caruso goes from 10th to 7th. It's not just the fact that Job is losing points that's significant here, because Caruso is gaining points as well that will increase his margin to the likes of Zach Campbell and company heading into those final 2 rounds of the championship. And so one moment could have changed everything.
One driver that we haven't talked about at all in the second race is the driver who is in third place. We spoke to him in qualifying, Max Benneker, third place for Mouse eSports. He is someone who, he's struggled this season. He has admitted that he's struggled this season, but he's in a podium position right now. He's got a hard charging Luca Kita behind him though. That's going to be a tall order, but that's 6 places gained for Max Benneker. Jordan Caruso's gained 5 places in this race, but as you say, crucially, he's now ahead of championship rival Job, and he's only a couple of spots behind Zach Campbell.
What did Benneker say when we talked to him as well? Trying to pull double duty, competing at the top level of sim racing on multiple fronts has been a lot more difficult than he has thought it would be. He's not in the top 15. He's not currently on track to hold on to his license. Regardless of what his plans for 2024 look like, he'll want to get back into that top 15. Let's grab another look though at this moment, down in towards turn number 1, and I think this is potentially the best angle that we can get, because you can see how committed Sanchez was, and Moreno Sarica gets a tag, but fortunately doesn't get as dinged as bad as Seb Job did, all things considered.
Yeah, do you know what? I completely missed that in focusing so much on our championship contender, Sebastian Job. I completely missed Sarica getting tagged by that as well. That's lost Sarica the championship of a race there for a victory. But it is Alessandro Bico who's at the top of your standings in this race, half a second ahead of Johan Haaf. So it's Italy versus France at the front of the field, but coming up a second back is Max Benneker for Germany. He is loitering with intent. He could well get to the front of this field yet. Don't write him off. Luca Kita, great drive for Luca, into 4th place right now with Zach Campbell 5th. Salva Talons, what a drive it's been for Salva Talons, I must say. He gained 3 places off of the start. He's up 8 places in total in this race. Sensational stuff from the Stormforce team with Salva Talons there. But my goodness, that has been... this championship just seems to give us hope of somebody challenging Jordan Caruso, and each and every week it seems to be a different driver, doesn't it, Arjuna? It's not been consistently one driver challenging Jordan.
But Jordan, again, even though today hasn't been a great day, to be fair, neither were his visits to the Red Bull Ring, where he did get involved with an incident that saw him head over to the steward's room. Watkins Glen wasn't great for him either. He still manages to put enough points on the table, and that's all he really wants to do. You talk about the swings and roundabouts. I'll talk about the swings and roundabouts to last year. Look at Alessandro Bico, a driver that was a rookie in 2022, didn't finish inside of the top 10 once. He was lucky to finish inside of the top 15. Now looks on course for what would be his 3rd victory this season, a 2nd victory this season, of course coming after what was a really impressive day for him at Spa. That podium at the Hockenheim Ring showed his speed at the very start of the campaign, and Bico's been blooming throughout the course of 2023.
Yeah, Williams eSports, they've got... it's showing that 2nd season. It really shows for these drivers just that experience underneath the belts here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. Look at Diogo Pinto when he won the championship last year. It was his 2nd season. He got a season under his belt, calmed himself down a bit as well, was more methodical with his moves, and that meant that he won that championship last season. But Bico right now, he could be on for a tremendous result, but do not write off Johan Haaf behind him. Johan Haaf's only ever had 2 podium finishes in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. He wants to get a race win here. It'll be his 1st ever race win for Johan. So don't write him out of this one, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he will be aggressive.
He's falling back a little bit though in these final sectors through the Nordschleife loop, heading towards the jump at Flansgarden in a couple of corners time. That gap has grown to just over half a second in total. Benneker's closer to Haaf than he has ever been as well, and so slowly this drafting train is just connecting on up as we get a look at Bico, we get a look at Haaf heading over to Flansgarden. They've done the hard work, they saved the tires. What do they have left to attack and push to the checkered flag with?
Well, we'll have to wait and see for how this one pans out. It all gets decided on the Dottinger Heuer down to Tiergarten. Will there be tears at Tiergarten? Well, we had it a few years ago. Will we have it again in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup through the Belofest for the final time here this season? And then heading towards the end of the lap. These are the last opportunities for Half to catch up here and to try and get in that ideal slipstreaming slot. Don't want to go too close going on to the Dottinger Heuer because you want to get that move done towards the end of the corner, don't you? At the end of the straight, should I say.
We saw that it's so easy to slip back into the draft and try and pull alongside. We've already seen how easy it is for contact to be made down through that final corner. And so now it's much like we're in Indianapolis in the month of May, weaving, snaking back and forth as Biko tries to duck and dive and hold off Johan Harth into the very final corners.
And he's extending the length of the track as well by doing that. He's making it, taking it longer down the straight, but he's trying everything he can to break that slipstream. But Johan Harth is closing. He is gaining on Biko in towards the end of the lap here. What's it going to be between the two of them as they head into Tiergarten? Has Biko just about held on to it? It's going to be a last gap effort if Harth does do it. No, he doesn't. Can he get the run? Oh, there's a tap between the two of them. Contact there. Biko, can he hold on to this? For Williams eSports, Johan Harth is pulling out. He's trying to get the move done. It's going to be neck and neck at the line. And it's Biko. Biko who takes the win here across the line. My goodness, what a sensational finish there. 42 thousandths of a second between the two of them.
And the checkup and the contact through the final corner almost allowed Beneka, Kita, Campbell to join the party as well. Another monumental finish in what's been an incredible Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. But Alessandro Biko grabs another race victory.
That is his first ever main race victory here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. He got a sprint race win last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. What a turn of form for the young Italian to be able to take victory here yet again in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. My goodness, what a dramatic end to the championship here today. And well, let us take us through the Buzz post-race show as Jamie Fluke crosses the line. And wow, what a result for Biko, just ahead of Harth, 43 thousandths of a second officially at the line. Beneka just a tenth and a half back from them in third place. That's your podium with Kita, Campbell, Talons, Caruso, Sarika, Job down in ninth in the end with Violette in 10th place. 11th for Diogo Pinto in the end, ahead of Oscar Irine, with Alejandro Sanchez in 13th after that incident at turn number 1. Mangan was stuck back, Kaita, Nesov, Zelensky, Bryn Collins and Gustavo Ariel. And then the last two finishers of Marchena and Fluke. The rest did not finish. Sonnen, Webster back, Charlie Collins, Kevin Nielsen, Thomas Tetteler and Christopher Dambitz. And well, Arjuna will be very shortly. After we have a look at the championship standings, we'll be speaking to our race winner, but it is 78 points is the gap between Jordan Caruso and Zach Campbell, but Campbell and Job equal on points going into the final two rounds of the championship. Alejandro Sanchez 101 points off of the championship lead, but Arjuna, you've got our race winner.
Back-to-back race meetings, back-to-back race victories for Alessandro Biko. This one a little bit more chaotic on the run to the line. Talk us through what you were thinking when you got the bump through the final corner. Oh, he's got himself still on mute, I think.
Hi. Okay, thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, the race was crazy. I was sweating a lot. You can think I'm like Rafa Nadal. I mean, I was like, before the long state, I was like 0.6, and I know it was like I don't know if I could keep the position, but I tried to do everything. And after that touch that Johan did, I was like, I don't know if I keep the car, but well, I did. I don't know how, to be fair, and yeah, I win it.
You did it, and you did it in style. What was it? 400ths of a second or so. Last year was a bit of a learning curve for you in your rookie campaign. This year has been a very different experience. What's changed? What's clicked in your mind?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. The change is very good. I'm very happy because you know, for be good here, you need to do a good quali. This year, I think I'm very good, but I need to thanks a lot the team, Moreno, and also Diogo and Gustavo. Like we train together. I need to thanks a lot them because when you're training with a good guy is very good. You know, Diogo win the championship, so it's fast guy.
Well, congratulations. A sprint victory last time, a main victory this time. Hopefully the first of many, Alessandro.
Thank you. Thank you.
We make our way over, though, to the second step of the podium, where Johan Haas tried, but just came up a little bit short, Johan. What more did you need to come out on top?
A good carousel on the last lap. Yeah, I made a little mistake on the last lap that, yeah, probably cost me the win. Just maybe 0.2 or 0.3, and then to catch Alessandro again, that was a bit too much, and we were just slightly too far coming into the thing here.
It's somewhat surprising to learn that, Johan, this is just your second ever podium in the main race. Are you surprised to learn that?
I think it's my third, if I'm not mistaken.
I think third in total, second in the main race.
Third in feature, because I got 2 at Monza back-to-back, and then
okay.
Year, so.
So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I keep track of them, they're pretty rare.
Well, hopefully less rare moving forward. Congratulations, Johan, getting your season back on track, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you guys.
And another driver that we haven't had much of an opportunity to chat with, but the second time today, Max Benecker joins us here in the broadcast booth. Max, looks like you're pretty happy with how your trip to the Nordschleife went?
Yeah, well, who would have thought twice in the season, and it's all on this track. Yeah, I don't know. Just got lucky, obviously, there with Alejandro crashing into like 2 or 3 guys in front. So yeah, but I take it. I mean, I think considering the pace I think I had today, it's a very good result, best result of the season, and couldn't come at a better time because yeah, championship-wise it doesn't look so good. So just got to remain the license. So that's very good. But yeah, there was not much that happened in the race, to be honest. Can't tell you a lot. Just try to stick to the slipstream and then hope for something like that to happen, and it did happen. As always, you kind of have to expect it.
I know that for you, qualifying has been difficult, especially with the amount of preparation that it takes. But this year, with the next 2 rounds that we've got coming up being Circuit de la Sarthe and Monza, does it actually mean that it's not so bad for you with your limited practice time, because those are much more draft-style races than the technical race that this was?
Yeah, for sure. Nordschleife, it's like if you don't have a quali time, or if you're like P15 or something, there's no chance you can make it up to the front. So here at least I had a good or average quali with P10, so I had at least a chance to get to P8. And then let's see how it is with the slipstream. I mean, we have a lot of slipstream here already, but it seems like it's just not that easy to overtake, because as soon as you have 2 guys in the slipstream, they both have the same pace, right? So let's see. Yeah, but I will still try to do my best for the last 2 rounds, obviously also in quali. But yeah, I have been missing something all season long. There's so much going on with tire warming on most tracks. Hasn't been a huge factor on this track, but I think there's still something going on there. So let's see. Shouldn't be a lot again on Le Mans, but there will be for sure something on Monza. So just always got to find that out. And then let's see.
Always great to chat with you, Max. Congratulations on getting back to the podium, and hopefully the end of the season shines well on you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Always great to hear from our drivers on the podium. And of course, well, 2 weeks' time then is May the 20th for the Circuit de la Sarthe round. And that one is certainly going to be an intriguing round and could put things a bit different in the championship.
It could see the championship wrapped up. It could see a monumental incident that sees us go to Monza with the championship well and truly on the line and to be fought for. It's been the side of many a chaotic race. There's that look down the Mulsanne, and you get a sense for what these drivers are going to be contending with, the opportunity to go 2, 3, and maybe 4 wide.
Well, that is going to be next time out in 2 weeks' time here. But final thoughts, Arjuna, that ending just suddenly just came out of nowhere, didn't it?
It's always nice to come to the Nordschleife, a real driver's track, and then get a race like that where we go wheel to the very end, although maybe Johan Hart hoping to get through there a little bit cleaner. We head out of this round, though, with drivers relieved. This was the round that plenty of drivers want to get out of their system heading into the final rounds of the season.
Well, that was this week. Make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati here for all of the action today. If you want to keep an eye on the championship standings, iRacing.com/PESC, and where you can also find out details of how to start your iRacing career as well. But from everybody here at the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, it's goodbye.